same detonation, or same landing of an Iranian missile from different cell phones, so different angles.
That guy was like, when Wafer asked him what happens after the Iranian regime falls, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna have our own elections. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that." And I'm thinking to myself, this guy, he is delusional. He is delusional.
Did you notice
United States of America?
Those two people came in after Yael. So she pinged them in after she left.
Probably.
Because they were spouting the same garbage that she spouts.
Probably.
If anybody else want to chime in, Roya, if you want to come on up, you're welcome to come on up as well. We'll give you the mic, don't worry. Nobody's going to steal the mic. Fahrar, is it Fahrar? Do you want to speak?
I mean, one last question before you go. Do you think Palestine get a break on all of this? Like, do you think the next country?
So the West Bank is under lockdown for 2 days now. Nobody comes in, nobody can even move. And Gaza,
we don't know what's happening in Gaza right now.
They killed over 20 people in Gaza. This was the recent news. Same thing at the aid place where they're getting the aid, and nobody can leave the aid place. This was reported in Al Jazeera. This was the recent news.
I heard the aid's going to resume tomorrow.
They killed people where they were getting flour today, and apparently the only way to help them is to buy an eSIM card, so, yeah.
Yep. So that's where we're at right now. Fahrar, do you want to speak? Hello?
I'll go later.
You want to speak?
No, I'll go later. I'm only hearing.
Okay. I mean, do you support Israel or Palestine? Or Iran? Who you support?
I still have a meeting on this.
What did you say? I can barely hear you. Close your mic. What did you say? I can barely hear you, man.
Okay, is it audible now? Am I audible now?
Yes. I don't give Roya. Sometimes it happens, and then I moved him down a couple of times. The guy that insulted Islam.
I'm right now, so maybe that was
Okay, but after you have witnessed and learned about this conflict, the Palestine, Israel, Iran, what side are you coming from? Do you support the Palestinians?
Well, I still have ambiguity on this, but yeah, like I lean towards Palestine on this issue.
Where do you have a problem with the Palestinian man?
Sorry, didn't got you what?
Where do you have a problem with, like, which the Palestinian area? Like, where do you have a problem?
No, I don't have a problem with Palestinians. I have a problem with Israelis. So yeah.
You said you had ambiguity, so
yeah. So I said I lean towards Palestine. Maybe it is because of the, my religious.
You will lean religious? Are you Muslim?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
mean, if you have questions and understand, we have a Palestinian here. We got two of them, Edward and Palestine.
Hey, Palestine. I didn't know he was in the room. Hey, Palestine.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, I didn't speak at the moment. Hi, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. How are you today? How's life over there? Is it under siege? How are the Israelis treating people?
They actually came into my village earlier today.
So, did it?
Yeah, that was mad.
Isn't it strange that you have a very quiet village?
Yeah, this is a very quiet village, but they keep on coming, like, on occasions to scare us. That's a scare tactic, basically.
That's what they do in Colombia, where I'm from. But they do it all the time. Like my cousins.
Oh yeah, in Colombia all the time. Yeah.
Two of my cousins, they're in their 40s. Their sons are in Israeli detention for, I don't know, over a year now. And up to a few months ago, they were coming into both their father's houses, So the fathers are my cousins, so I guess their sons would be my second cousins. Is that how it works? Yeah, yeah. So they were going into their house, two houses. They were trashing their houses every 5 to 15 days, so you don't know when they're coming, and beating the shit out of my cousins. Every 1 to 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most. But it was a routine thing for, I don't know, like 8-10 months. They were doing it. And I was trying to get them out.
I could imagine what they do to the women. They probably rape them.
Well, not in front of. Well, it's not the women. Well, women in prison, in detention. Yeah, but it's the, and this has only come out recently, and this is something that Palestinians have not talked about because of our society. But the girls that and now there's vans that pick up children to go to school, for the most part, right? Palestine.
I could imagine. They're a disgusting society.
Well, before the vans, up until the late 2000s, kids walked to school, and little girls, 8, 9, 10 years old, were routinely sexually harassed by the soldiers.
Yeah.
And worse. I mean, this is something that wasn't talked about at all until the last year or so. So I'm glad Palestinians are more comfortable now to speak about that. That's been happening for generations. So if you can imagine, school girls that went to school and were harassed or worse by Israeli soldiers, grew up, got married, had children, had daughters, and then those daughters, same thing happened to them. There's no words to.
My cousin himself is a detainee. He's a prisoner. He's been a prisoner for now it's so much 2 years.
It's like
society. I don't care what anybody says.
And they say, we only have 200 detainees. 146 detainees. That's all we have. How is it that every Palestinian I come across in my family, there's multiple detainees? Palestine here has a cousin that's detained. What are the chances of, if there are 146 out of 5.5 million people, what are the chances of the two of them being right here in this room, in Amir's room right now? That have family that are detained.
We are so goddamn unique. If that's
exactly. We are so lucky, or Amir is so lucky, which I don't think he is, because Amos is more handsome than he is. But either that, or maybe it's not true. Maybe there are tens of thousands of people that are being held in detention for months to years, and maybe that's the truth.
Yeah, include the children.
Yeah, 12, 13-years old. Yeah, I'll tell you, this is how they Palestine. Who is that girl with the blonde hair and blue eyes? She was a teenager. She came from a family of activists, and she was a teenager. She's famous for being an activist. I think she went up against a tank when she was a little girl or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And she got arrested.
I don't if it's, does she have blonde hair?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah. They wouldn't arrest her for the longest time. Why? Because she had blonde hair and blue eyes. That's what they said. In the early 2020s, that's what they were saying, that they weren't arrest her because she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And then they finally arrested her, I think after October 7th.
Was it Tamimi? Her name Tamimi?
I don't remember.
Maybe it's...
I just remember the blonde hair, blue eye part, meaning why the Israelis were not arresting her. It's because she was too white, and that wouldn't look good for the Western audience. And I was like, what? I mean, that's the level that they're thinking of?
Of course it is.
That's why they're dysfunctional. You can't run a country like this. You can't.
I don't think it's...
And later on, they're gonna Later on, they're gonna claim they're the victim. I've been all over social media on the right, left leaning, right leaning, in the middle, and everyone is saying the same thing. Don't bring us in this war. A lot of Americans are saying, "Don't bring us into this war. Don't bring us into this war. We don't want it."
Yeah, this is unique because it affects oil and it affects rich white people. So I don't think the U.S. or anyone else would come into this war besides Iran and Israel. And I believe Iran and America have an understanding, or Iran and the West have an understanding. If you don't get involved, we won't destroy all the oil facilities in the Middle East.
But isn't Iran already speaking about, there's a trade route that's very crucial. I forgot the name of it. It was really
The Hormuz Strait.
yes, they're considering closing it. Would be it's a tactic. Right?
Yeah, well, I think that's a rumor. I don't think they're closing it. I don't think they're considering closing it. I seen that too.
No, what I'm saying is tactic. You get what I'm trying to say?
Oh, they can. Yes, 20% of the world's energy
No,
flows through that strait.
even if they don't do it, it's just rumors out there, right?
Of course they
Well,
can.
just the rumors. Just the
But
rumors
it's
have spiked
enough.
oil prices.
No, but it's enough to make people, again, people who are invested, again, the West, us, our governments, they're going to make measured decisions, even on a rumor.
Well, yeah. Well, this strait, 1 out of 5 gallons or barrels of oil flow through this strait. It's a narrow strait too. Very easy for Iran to, and it belongs to Iran, and it's very easy for Iran to, and they've already mined it. I mean, they have their submarines. They have mini submarines. They've mined the whole thing.
But doesn't it connect different other regions of the world? I think it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, but for oil, most things, but it's
Oil and also
natural gas.
goods. That's another.
Yeah, but Iran is not going to do that unless U.S. get involved. That's
Yes, exactly. If the U.S. gets involved, but that's what I'm saying. Because this affects rich white guys, rich old white guys, meaning the futures and commodities speculators, those that corner the oil markets, the institutional buyers, pension funds, insurance companies all over the world, especially the Western world. Because it affects those, rich white people, then this is what makes what's happening different, and this is why I don't think the U.S. would get involved, because it affects rich white people, or I should say, old rich white men.
and it's if it happens, then it's not just U.S. or any other country's problem. It's the whole world problem, and especially the whole Arab world problem.
Listen, I don't want this to happen. If that happens, it is our problem. I mean, we will suffer direct consequences.
Yeah. No.
The world will suffer.
Yeah.
We will suffer.
And
Big
no one,
time.
even China.
You think of believing it?
Most of the Persian Gulf oil goes to China, and then the whole world needs to find a resolution for this war to stop it.
Yeah.
But this is the last thing that Iran is going to use, because we are far away from that point. We are now, if you don't help Israel, we can crush Israel easily. Like if in 2 weeks Israel raise a hand up, that's it.
Yeah, the thing that also keep in mind, if 10,000 missiles start moving towards Tel Aviv, then Israel may think about nuclear weapons. Oh, by the way, Iran did say that they were going to be hitting the Dimona site. They've already hit.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, they did.
Nuclear weapons.
But the last part, no.
Guys, Pakistan has backed very obviously, and they are a nuclear powerhouse. They are they're out there. For them to have not just said it, but them to have moved their navy and actually are aligning themselves. This is valuable.
Yeah.
For them, this is where Israel gets fucked here. So Iran does not have that nuclear weapon. Obviously, we know this. But guess what? Pakistan does, and they have multiples. They actually have more than what India has in stock. They actually have if you actually look at the top 10 militaries, I was actually pretty surprised to learn that Pakistan's up there actually, despite their economy and all of that not being the best.
Oh yeah, no, they're very good.
Ferocious. Their Air Force is untouchable. This is pretty much why India backed the fuck up, because a conversation about potential nukes came in. It's a determined. So I don't think that Israel is going to start to run to nukes, knowing full well that Pakistan is ready to go. That they've made it.
Plus, there is another scenario too. Let me tell you something. We have, based on their confession, we have enough uranium to make 10 or 14 bombs. And in that doom state, if Israel wants to use nuke against Iran, they have 10 days to leave the whole country. The whole 9 million, 10 million, they need to leave the country. And even we have made facilities under the ground that even the nuclear bomb cannot destroy them. And that's not a choice for them. That's not an option to choose.
I don't even think Iran would even bother making the nuclear bombs. I think they'll just buy them from North Korea if they haven't already. For a just-in-case scenario type of thing, because they could just as easily buy them from North Korea.
And that's the reason
and North Korea would sell them the whole.
That's true, and that's the reason that Iran always said that I don't want to make one, because I know that I'm not going to use it. We want to make deterrence. That's why we made all these missiles, but we're not going to have that because we don't want to use it, and that's not an option for us to use. And no one wants to use it against another. They tell us that they want to make. We want to make it. Like in each way that you name it, we announce that we don't want to make this. And you can have the full information, full supervision on our facilities, but they want to make a scenario that you want it. And when they control the narrative, the whole
don't put me on me,
bitch.
So even at 3% enrichment, Iran won't give up. And I was looking at why. If you look it up, the amount of scientific innovations that Iran has made in medicine, in X-ray technologies, nuclear medicine technologies, and other industries that aren't even related to nuclear, like civilian, commercial, consumer. The amount of innovations that they have made is, it's staggering. I was really shocked at 3% enrichment. They are doing so much R&D at the universities. And I can understand why Iran would not want to give even the 3% up, because it brings so much to their economy, so much to their universities, and so much. Do you know that they have 2 new methods of killing cancer? Through it came directly from their nuclear program.
That's all true, but let me tell you another story. So we gave it up one time. Okay, 10 years ago when they signed JCPOA, we kind of kept all facilities, but we blocked down everything. We blocked out enrichment. We just kept a experimental under supervision, everything that was for some universities or something. And then Trump got out of it. And we did all this because we wanted to be a normal country, and we wanted to get back to the world trade. We wanted to get connected to world central bank and everything. Like, we were under the most restrictive sanction between the whole countries, like in the world. And we signed a deal with U.S. during Obama to give it up. That's what they wanted. But then Trump came, and Netanyahu blackmailed him probably by Epstein files, and he got out of it. This is something that we've done one time. Yeah, enrichment is.
Don't you think the strategy now, when to wind down this conflict, that the Trump would have the excuse, and would have to actually be a lot more flexible with the demands and allow 3% enrichment, allow Iran to keep its because they wanted Iran to get rid of its missile program, to keep its missile program, obviously because they were already attacked, so they have proof that they need protection, and if they want the war over, and because it is affecting global, like the markets. It is affecting the markets. The markets have gone up.
You're saying that Trump agreed with 3% enrichment?
No, he didn't agree. He did it first, then he took it back.
Then, yep, that's exactly
okay.
what happened.
But to end the war, though, now Iran has more leverage, and I think that this is my theory, that he would be forced to give her, and it's not really forcing because he doesn't really care either way, but he would be forced to say, okay, Iran could enrich to 3% and be able to tell the Israelis, it's your fault, you attacked them, so we have to give in on some of these demands. And make it.
That was.
And then he'll say face, like he'll be like, yeah, you listen, they attacked, and I had to allow them to have some enrichment capabilities. Because Israel attacked, it's Israel's fault, not mine, and I got the best deal I could under the circumstances. I brought an end to the war, and I got this deal done.
I don't see any future for this unless this war goes for at least 6 months. Then they can jump in and they say, okay, I stop a Armageddon scenario by letting them have just 3%. That's the scenario for after 6 months, not just 2 days. So, but yeah, if he wants to do this, first of all, he needs to supply Israel to feed its air defense for 6 months or something like this, and that's something that it's cost a fortune for US to supply this.
You think this will go on for 6 months?
No, I'm telling you that the scenario that you're saying that Trump interrupts the war with this excuse and let Iran have this, it's not going to happen unless this war goes for 6 months. They're not going to jump in after 2 days and say, okay, we're going to let you.
No, but a week or two would be long enough, I would think, to end the war. Because
I didn't get that, sir.
I think a week or two would be enough for the U.S. to come in and broker a ceasefire agreement.
But I don't see this coming. I see another way that U.S. brings its navies and stop them a couple of hundred kilometers away from Persian Gulf and start shooting exactly same like what happened in Yemen. They start shooting air defense and fail them and make it ready for Israel to bring its F-35s and make a demolished country from Iran. That's the scenario that I see Trump is following.
Edward, I have a different. I visualize a different scenario. So far, Iran has been very careful in not attacking any place, any base, or anything that's related directly to the U.S.
Yes.
Making sure that U.S. does not get any opportunity to get involved in the war. Okay, no direct involvement. But at the same time, I believe that Israel will very soon carry out a false flag attack against one of America's bases or America's interests within the U.S. or somewhere outside of U.S. and put the blame on Iran, thus making sure that U.S. does get involved. This is the scenario I'm playing with. And Trump may not even be aware of it. But Trump's ministers, Trump's administration, like Marco Rubio, Huckabee in Israel, all these people will already be discussing with Netanyahu how to go behind Trump and carry out a false flag attack, and immediately America will be forced to get involved in it. That's the scenario, I think.
Well, here's the flaw. It does sound feasible. The only flaw is all Iran has to do is say no, that wasn't us, because Iran. Why would Iran attack and then deny that they attacked? And why would they attack the United States and then deny it? So if they just say no, that was not us, we had nothing to do with this. In this specific scenario, I think that would be more than sufficient for the U.S. To say, it wasn't them. Especially if Iran says it to the world.
Iraq, didn't you see what happened to Afghanistan or Iraq? Did another country did the 9/11 and they invaded?
But they didn't have the leverage that Iran has.
Sorry?
They didn't have the leverage that Iran has. Remember, we talked about the Strait of Hormuz.
We don't have any leverage.
No, the difference, it's not about leverage.
No, that is leverage.
No, it's not about the leverage. The difference is
controlling the narrative. It's when
but at that point in time, the U.S. administration wanted to go to war, and the U.S. public wasn't really against it, right? Now, you have Trump does not want to start wars. There are people in his administration that do want war, right? But the U.S. public absolutely does not want to get involved.
But you can't say that. You can't say always that they don't want to war. Let me tell you something. They say something, but they act differently. Okay? They say we want to but they act differently.
I think there are people in the Trump administration that want war. There are people that don't want war. We
can't actually do war right now with Iran. Our forces are spread out. When it comes to bringing in aircraft strike groups, the Houthis were able to drive them away. What do you think Iran would be able to do? I don't see that scenario playing out. Where America brings in a strike, because if America does that, then they are responsible for what happens with the oil prices in America, with American citizens feeling the effects. Not only American citizens, but citizens all over the world. I can't imagine America putting itself in that position. It would be like public enemy number one.
All what you're saying makes it a difficult war for US. Doesn't make it unfeasible. Okay. It's gonna hit the US economy. It's gonna make it ruin the credit again, and overcoming the social narrative or the medias and everything. But no, it's not. You can't say it's not possible. And just see this motivation that there are like $34 or $37 trillion under the debt, and a war can help them to just somehow, waive this debt and somehow fix it and say, okay, we have to do something.
No.
They can somehow.
You think of World War II, like World War I and World War II required a vast, massive manufacturing infrastructure here in the U.S. to support the weapons that were created.
What about now? I like how he's the one who said
candle thing when I was like 13.
Well, you know what, you were 13, okay.
You can never underrate good ficus. I'll just give you that.
I don't fucking know what
The
that
only
is.
plan I ever ate is I had a quarter of dope. I had a quarter of marijuana on me and got pulled over by the cops, and I ate the whole quarter.
Bro, you must have been
What
high
in
for 2 days.
the fuck?
It's just like Super Troopers.
Yeah, for real.
How'd that go?
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like, I need to make this disappear.
Yeah.
I'm already pulled over. You can't pull
There's
the
nothing
trigger.
on me, officer. Wait, are you real? Let me touch real quick.
It's when you like wrap it in like a plastic bag so you don't ingest it.
Hey, we're not doing smuggling, okay? That's not happening. Also, ingesting is not even the best way to do it. Just like put it right up your ass.
Yeah, I was gonna go with choking to death. You know, I'll just rather choke to death. That's all.
All I'm saying, man, you're gonna be feeling something either way. You know, there's like fun fact. If you were to like actually take the whole exposed thing and put it up your ass, there's actually a lot of receptors inside of your ass that allow you to take in the THC. So some people literally inject the THC in their ass.
Well, that's the blood chugging thing, isn't it?
The same as, yeah. That's the same thing with alcohol. It is called blood chugging.
I never heard about that one before, but god fucking damn, people are fucked up.
Rumor has it works with them too.
Of course it does, JP.
It also works with tampons.
What the fuck?
Very much not.
What in the fuck?
What
Wow.
things
Wait, how do you know that?
How do most things?
Is this one of the you can in fact just do things and you just figured shit out because of it?
Well, I mean, you can put zins anywhere. You can put them between your toes, behind your ears.
What's wrong with you,
I just
baby?
picked up information on my travels. I don't know what to tell you.
You can put them in your foreskin.
Have you done this?
He's walking in his cock. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I feel like he has done this. He's the type of person who will just do things I don't even want to ask.
No one would just say that, right? I mean,
Cock and lock, the new dance craze sweeping the nation.
I may or may
I'm
not
so
have
locked in.
somewhere
Every part of my body is locked in that any is somewhat representable on the internet in some way. I think that's probably what Jeff Bezos did before he like sent that massive dick pic on Signal like leaked. Real thing that actually happened. His dick pic's out there on the internet somewhere. People find that an insecurity of some sort. Personally, if there was something about me like that leaked on the internet, I wouldn't care.
He just hired someone.
Now I know it's only a matter of time before somehow it finds me. Through no effort of my own.
At some point in my life, I will, at my prime, 3D scan myself. I'll probably like have Synthetica do the cloud point thing for me. So he's gonna know everything about me in that regard, and he's gonna put that shit on the blockchain with me. So everybody's gonna have a fully naked Adrian on their fucking computer if they download the Bitcoin blockchain. Because fuck you. That's why.
I'm ready. Yeah, no choice.
He's ready to chef at any point. He wants this to happen.
Let's do it.
I will save enough money to do that if it costs $1 million and be like, hey, did you immortalize yourself? Yes, here's a link. It's like zesty grandpa, you know? What's the greatest thing you did in your time? Well, I once 3D scanned myself in a very exposed manner and put it on every single part of the unknown internet, also known as Bitcoin. Ever heard of it? Yeah, you run into it too, don't you? I'm in your computer in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. You're gonna have to delete all of Bitcoin, get rid of me. Good luck. I'm gonna be there even with the fork. There's nothing you can do about it.
Immutable. Yeah, your balls will be immutable.
Not just my balls, everything.
True, too.
I'm gonna probably put out the most ridiculous bullshit pose ever, and it's gonna be like, what the fuck? I'm gonna become the Overwatch Mercy character model for like whatever that's gonna be at some point in the future. Just please don't use me for anything too fucked up. I don't give you permission to do that, but if you need open source assets for human representation on an alien planet, I'm open to it. So, hologram my shit. Human culture. Yeah. Fucking Terminus, bro. Naked Adrian Terminus. Let's fucking go. 2059. That's what it 80. There's a dick on the moon right now. There's a dick on the moon, by the way. It's a little piece of metal with a little dick engraved on it. It's on the moon right now. Okay. I want at some point. Yes, that's true. Go look it up. Also, they say it's not a dick, but I'm like, you look at it and you're like, it really much so is. It very much so is, yeah. So I'm thinking of putting a fully naked scan of myself on Mars at some point. I definitely want to do that. If space transportation is good enough to do that, I will make sure at least somebody takes it there and then puts it on Terminus, because, you know, why not? Like, it's for science. And that science is my mental expansion and just general frolicking fuckery. Yeah. You know the esoteric memes I post. You think, like, a lot of that shit I mean. I'm actually serious about this, by the way. I'm not kidding. I'm actually serious about this.
More like Terminus.
Exactly.
So, do you want like a metal plaque landed there, or do you want to like engrave it from orbit?
The engraving from orbit bit is going to require alien technology, but I'm considering a royalty so that can be acquired. And yes, I will laser my naked self into Mars at some point, if that's possible.
Excellent.
Yes.
JP, one of our listeners just sent me the coordinates.
Incredible.
For the
I mean, we should probably not talk about this in public, you know. But
yeah.
I'm down.
Okay.
So we're about to have some sort of gay meetup. What's happening?
We're gonna go search for something. In
I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. No. I already know exactly what you're talking about. I don't want to fucking hear it.
We're going gator hunting.
Yeah, sure. That's one very, very glowy gator you're gonna be hunting.
Gator.
Gay.
Right, yeah, probably all the radiation like turned the gators gay, and that's one. That's why, like, security.
That's how we know we're close to gators are glowing.
Exactly. Always
They're gonna make some shiny boots.
Much about. There used to be an app with a Windows CE device, like remember Windows Mobile, and it was Gator. You could click it, and then it would like open an app, and you could pretend to scan people and be like
Gator. Actually, you know what you can actually, there's something like that exists. You guys, here's what you can do, right? Not saying you should do this in public. I'm just saying there's potential for you to be able to do this if you wanted to. You can, in fact, just download the notification sound for Grindr and then go behind people and play it. If he turns around, then you got one.
I don't even know what that sounds like, so I definitely wouldn't turn around. I mean, maybe I do.
I was gonna say, that sounds like you definitely know what it sounds like.
I'm gonna go look it up right now. Hang on a minute.
I really don't.
Boys, can you go look it up and play it?
Sure, yeah.
We're gonna like activate Gator on this base when like somebody's fucking mobbing and turns around. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? What are you into, actually?
So if you hear the sound and you recognize it, raise your hand.
You should put it as one of the soundboard options on Discord too.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if I hear somebody like pick up his phone like that, you can make that sound that comes like out of you grabbing the phone and slipping it off. That's like, they're like, fuck, you got one. We're not gay phobic or anything. It's just funny, We're not afraid of the gays. If you're so happy to be gay, there's a future in which we work together. Don't worry. So long as you don't go super zesty with us for reasons that we don't like to consent to. We do in fact just want to male ties. We don't care. That's the one. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It even sounds gay.
Even sounds gay.
It sounds like you're.
Is that the sound of running your finger across a plastic cone?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Associated with that too.
I mean, on that same point, since we're talking about plastic, just understand one singular thing that is a fact about life. The ocean and lesbians have one thing in common. They are both getting fucked by plastic right now.
By plastic?
For real?
Yeah, because microplastics are even inside your balls.
Yeah.
Alright, look, gentlemen, you have to understand. Something that is inversing your ability to create testosterone is located inside of your balls right now. You can do something about it. Just make sure not to do it in visibility of the general public, because this will be considered indecent exposure. Tanning your balls allows you to increase your testosterone by 200%, and it stays at that above baseline significantly for a very long period of time. So you can, in fact, just tan your balls. And as a result of that, it will then allow you to all produce more testosterone. just don't do it in a neighborhood where people are going to be able to see you do that, because that will be considered indecent exposure. Okay? Just like you could, in fact, just get a very big UV lamp of some kind. You could probably just tan the underside of your balls. See, you have to counteract the microplastics. You have to counteract the endocrine disruptors that leach out from the microplastics inside of said balls. The way we do it is by significantly upping our testosterone. And we do this by sunning our balls. With safety precautions, of course. And you also have to consider whether or not this is a right fit for you. And look, you can have some people that come out the woodwork and say, yeah, but the heat is going to kill your sperm cells. I'm like, there are some really stupid motherfuckers out there that say, hey, because technically Toxoplasma gondii, which is this parasite that is found in cats, makes you more risk-taking-esque in various many ways. Like, as you become more of a risk-taker, and actually therefore also increase your testosterone, it also does a very interesting thing that is really fucking hilarious. It decapitates your sperm. So don't fucking cat max. That's not a fucking thing.
Aww.
That's not a fucking thing. That does not exist. Okay? It decapitates your fucking sperm. Horrifying. I know. Look, you're rude.
Cats are nature's
I think they really are. But it's not even the cat's fault. It's the mouse's fault. And it's the cat that eats the mouse. Fucking hell. So you're gonna get toxoplasma gondii. It's probably gonna do things, but. Understand. Precautions. Okay? You're gonna have less problems from this overall if you do it this way. Believe me. Or don't believe me, I don't fucking know. Just make up your own mind. What the fuck is that, JP? That is amazing. I think you don't need to, just take out that little beam thing. That does not need to be there.
Let me see if I can find the original image. I actually made that the last time you talked about tanning your balls.
That's actually perfect. You know that is actually fucking perfect. Just remove the beam thing. But that's actually perfect. That is exactly. That is exactly. Yeah, sure. It's the rays, but you don't see them rays, do you? Yes, we discover we discover new things about the human body every single day. If you so happen to be in a relationship, and you have to explain that to your significant other, I hope you got a lot of science to back that up, because it's going to be an interesting sell to sit outside, in that specific type of position to be able to, tan your balls, or perhaps even get a UV lamp and just kind of sit there for a little bit,
No, I wouldn't be surprised, not in the littlest bit.
I mean, why wouldn't
You're southern, what can I tell you?
Well, if it helps, why wouldn't you do it?
That's what I'm saying.
You make your nuts warm, so it's like you're being.
It's not really gonna make your nuts warm, man. Like, if that is something that's a problem, then exercising is a problem. But it's not. So what's your problem?
What? I just said if you lay your nuts in the sun, they're gonna get warm from the sun. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly, but the problem is, if you have a problem with getting warm, then exercise is going to be a problem. You see?
Oh, did you see that guy this week that got his ball shot off by ice?
Yeah.
No! Fuck!
One of his balls, not both, just one.
Right, just one of them. He lost.
What a coincidence! What a coincidence! I happen to have a picture of someone's internal testicle that I sent to my group chat long ago.
And now this is another thing that I know exists.
Yes.
And it's only a matter of time before somehow, through no effort of my own, I will encounter.
Can you give me permission to send you the picture?
No. I don't want to
post it on Jumbotron.
Let me just pump publicly. Hang on. Let me take a look. Nope, it's not there. He didn't do that. For science.
This guy was kind of an Asian guy. He was complaining about getting his ball shot off by ice this week. It was pretty funny, actually.
Jesus Christ. No, the actually funny one was the guy who was who was being tackled.
Bro,
The guy got shoulder tackled. Fucking XP, bro. That dude got eliminated. He like threw some shit. He like threw a water bottle or some shit at like an ice guy. Like, well, actually, no, sorry, one of the LAPD dudes. And then bro just like walked away, and some random upstanding citizen decided to like just completely come in clutch and just shoulder tackle this motherfucker.
Did you see the AI remix where Trump did it? Yeah, it was Trump shoulder tackling him.
But the guy that shoulder tackled him was like in his mid-30s, so you know he had been waiting like 15 years to relive the glory days. He saw his opportunity.
In his mind, he was hearing like the Foo Fighters. You know that he was hearing the Foo Fighters song. Here comes my hero. Boom! He was hearing that shit in his head. I swear to God, it must have been.
It was involuntary. You just had to do it.
Yeah. In this case, you aided law enforcement.
Tremendous job. You got a tremendous good job.
Jesus Christ, man. One hell of a thing. That was one hell of a thing. Massive. Absolutely massive. Here, let me see something. We're gonna post something on the time check account soon. I would know.
Yeah, sure.
Can you look at, I have like a picture that I want you to look at, and given the context, tell me whether or not it looks gay.
Okay.
And what you might do differently. Describe in the chat.
You haven't sent me anything yet.
It's in there, bro. Tag.
A bit. Tiny bit.
Type in what alterations one might suggest for the specific context.
Less gay.
I'd say the text needs work, but the image isn't the issue. The text is the issue.
I did post more memes. Nice reply. Okay, let's have
What is going on?
JP removed the beam of sun.
Good.
The beam of sun.
Yes.
Ra has been pleased by this movement.
Or upset.
Is upset on your behalf.
You know, it would be cool if I had like the ability to lock certain people from responding to like a comment. It'd be fucking hilarious.
That would be nice. Granular locking. Yes.
It'd be absolutely amazing. It'd be totally cool. Absolutely fantastic. You know what? I'm gonna post something. I'm gonna post this thing. This looks pretty cool.
You could do granular locking using lists if you feel like being thrifty.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you still use your Apple Vision goggles?
I don't use those.
Did anyone in here have those?
I don't, but I was talking to Robert Scoble this week. He was in a space with us, and he was jabbing on him, talking about he liked his.
Oh, he kept talking about it for years. It's been so much. I'm always tired of hearing about those fucking Apple Vision Pros, man. I don't want to like. Here's let me summarize it. Let me summarize it for you. The Apple Vision Pro is really cool. It's got spatial stuff. Still needs a bit of work, and it's so heavy that you need to turn into one of those like those F1 type of racer people, where what you have is the super thick neck, like Gunther, like that advertisement for the beer that's super old. It's like the thick neck guys like Gunther. That's what you're gonna have, because like you're gonna have to support that neck somehow, because like there's gonna be a lot of stress on it because of this big diving goggle size, super heavy like piece of technology, whatever that is.
All right.
And it's like,
other than the neck,
yeah.
What else is the problem?
Practically that. It's just super heavy, and you kind of look weird running around with it. Like people just like making the hand gestures in space, looking like a flying frog. It's pretty bad.
The HoloLens Pro, or the Google Vision Pro, is just the HoloLens 2 released 3 years later.
Yes.
That's all it was, at the same price, and it didn't come with development features.
Which was part of its downfall.
I got the Quest 3, and honestly, the pass-through is just awful.
Yeah, I don't really understand VR. I don't understand VR. VR doesn't make sense to me. I think that,
I mean, it's kind of neat because you can do those games where, like, your whole room is being invaded by a monster because it scans the room and it knows where the walls are. And so then, like, panels will fall off. There's a monster coming in. You can look through the panels and up at it, and you can see, like, through your room. There's another, like world out there.
I think
that's pretty neat.
I think the future of the problem is with VR gaming is that there isn't much demand for it. For it to become super mainstream to the point where there's like a really good game. I think it could be changed with something like maybe Unreal Engine, right? Because at some point you're gonna have to somehow make it cheap enough for you to have a super, just fully immersive gaming rig. And what I mean with this is you have the treadmill, you have the gloves, you have the bodysuit, and you have the whole fucking, you have the visual thing, right? And at that point, you're gonna have to consider, in a game like that, how do you, like, what's gonna be the next thing, right? Because you can have the visual strain and whatever else, right? But I'm pretty sure that would have to be the move for you. It's gonna take a while.
The next step is Sword Art Online, obviously. You trap people in a death game.
Yes. There are movies about this.
Dive in it.
Jesus Christ, bro. What's that one? But what's gonna happen is, at some point, we're gonna have the Lawnmower Man. That's happening. Don't ask me what that is, and I'm not gonna explain it to you. That's just fucking.
Have you watched that recently, man? I watched it like.
I've watched a recap of it. I don't want to hurt my brain. I'm not doing that. There's some things that I'm legitimately never going to watch.
So good.
No, it does not hold up. It's fucking insane. I don't know what's wrong with people who like created that. Like, what exactly were you on? Like, this is the problem with MK Ultra. Everybody's like, oh wow, these drugs allow me to like travel through time. So everybody takes LSD. It's like, what if lawnmowers but VR and it's people and it's having sex with a computer? Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with these drug addicts?
You seen that movie Red? It's with an AI. What's her name?
Maybe not.
What's her name? That hot chick. Old
wife? Rob Snyder.
Dang it. Can't find it.
Well, someone in the audience got that joke.
Sorry, we typed it back and forth, strategizing in real time. Oh, damn. You got this thing that's holding on to the head.
Her. The movie's Her with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah. The AI clone is everywhere.
AI voice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like she's like literally the ultimate AI voice. Like if they can ever replicate that, like females don't stand a chance. I'm sorry.
Isn't that a thing? Where like she sued some company for her
She
voice?
sued OpenAI because they basically made it Scarlett Johansson, and literally her, when, you know, Sam Altman made that post about her literal definition fucking thing happening, it was kind of funny. It was so close, it was so bad, and so they just completely rugged it because of this. So yeah, no judge.
I mean, how much better? You can't get a voice better than that. I mean,
yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You just have to create a better her movie that is not her.
Is that even possible?
Yes, it is. Just not with current Hollywood.
AI in the next 5 minutes. Let's go.
Maybe. Needs to be better though. Okay, needs to be a whole bunch better.
We can call it Herms.
I think we're gonna get towards this specific state at the end of the year. We're gonna have top movie, not just clip or trailer level, you know, film generation for AI, but we're gonna have actual next level, continual, deterministic movie generation for AI with sound and just effects by the end of the year. I see this as very plausible considering the current development. Google making amazing strides in this. I think China's going to try and steal some of that, which they inevitably will, and perhaps come up with an even better perfected version of that. But for now, I think there is no product that is even remotely on par with Google in almost any form whatsoever. They've completely knocked it out of the park with video generation, so much that you don't even really need to care about Gemini. They have totally taken that whole thing over. They've created amazing scripts for this. Like we already understand, like, you know, how a good YouTube video functions and what it looks like. So now you've just created, out of everything that anyone has ever uploaded, the perfect amalgam of this content. That's fucking incredible. If you now curate for something that is cinematic in nature, which is going to be really difficult to do because of, you know, obviously IP reasons, well, if you somehow were to pull it off, you are winning. And then Hollywood will approach the cooked state even faster than it's currently approaching it. They will need to ungay themselves very quickly if they ever stand a chance. See that happening. So AI will eat their lunch. And that's the end of it.
What about AGI?
I feel like we can't even
much more complicated.
We can't even agree on what is actual intelligence half the time, and then we're gonna have to see how exactly we'll tackle the problem of defining something as AGI. I think the conceptuality of what AGI is, from what exists in the average mind, is something that won't be achievable within the next 10 years, personally.
You think it's going to be that long? Because I hear all these like people who are, you know, maybe doing
some AI experts. Some AI experts that have actually built the foundation of what we use today. We're thinking about a 50 to 20 year timeline, and that was 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. So we're looking at probably at max 10 years. But that's if we find the correct recipe. And quantum computing is not going to come before AGI. I think if we get anything close to whatever the average mind conceptualizes AGI to be, that's going to allow us to create quantum computing. I very much so doubt that we'll get actual functional, properly scalable functional quantum compute before AGI. So what happened then? People are gonna look at that and be like, what is he talking about? I'm like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, we'll have AGI long before we'll have quantum computers.
Yeah.
We barely have quantum computers right now. Like that shit didn't even exist until last year.
Dude, I don't want quantum computers. They can just freaking break all of encryption and.
No, they can't. We will just update it before they even can. Also, if you are genuinely worried about
They can only break a certain type of encryption.
They can't break all of encryption.
Yes. Also, this like vision of encryption being good enough for it to have not been breached already in some ways is, I think, just laughable because it's a false assertion. So I wouldn't be worried about quantum computing changing anything about your safety in any meaningful way. I would rather be more so concerned about what information is being gathered off you right now and turned into automation. If you don't understand what that means, can't help you understand that, you're going to have to think about that one yourself. It has a very interesting implication, because understand that everything in the universe is just an expression of information, be it physically or digitally, but it's all just energy at different levels and compression rates. So it's just that. So you figure out how exactly that kind of boils down to whatever computational data markets are, and then you'll know what the future looks like. It's fucking weird. I mean, like, it's like that image that I posted about the upscale of what the planet is and how it connects to this, like, a Tesseract-esque, hypercube made out of triangles and shit. People will go like, what's that? Like, that's exactly what I said it is.
I don't know. Is like no one talking?
The summary to this is basically don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. Just
don't worry about it.
Yeah, just like,
but it's
bring value.
an interesting concept. Yeah, it's an interesting concept to delve into.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll find something there.
Mm-hmm. Just like kind of see how you can place yourself at the above psyop layer, and don't allow people with a lack in vision to kind of cloud your understanding of this, because there are a lot of those people out there. And even look at the former AI influencers that tried to like bag up on the AGI meme. They're all just like washed, and they're all just like cheating everyone for cryptocurrencies, and their newsletters are gone. Their like revenue base has gone to shit, and now their latest play is turn yourself into a GPT wrapper that barely works. So yeah, it's all just upsells, man. That's all that it is. Before they tell you how to prompt, I'm like, hey, you know what an SQL database is? Yeah, you know that one, you get everything. Because that's going to be where the fun part comes in, of actually understanding how the AI works and how you can work with it. And that's that, right? So, yeah.
Hello, AI. Drop star. Bye.
Drop tables, like. Do you remember those injections that you could do with cars? Like people put like, the drop thing into that like license plate, like drove through a speeding camera and just deleted all the data.
Oh yeah.
Don't do that, by the way. It doesn't work anymore. And if it works, definitely don't. It's super fucking illegal.
Did you hear about the guy who changed his license plate to void? Or was it null? It was null.
That's fucking
And he ended up getting like 200 speeding tickets from traffic cameras.
Yeah, he got the speeding tickets because he said his thing to null.
Because whenever in the database it just came up as empty, it sent him the speeding ticket.
I heard about that. That's a real thing.
Punked himself, yeah.
Cool thing about the South is we have so many meth heads, they just cut all the traffic cameras down for the copper.
That's the best way to do it in the South. Not gonna lie. Get them crawdads, and you get them cameras and the bell, and you melt it down. You get your Chipotle in there, and you're good to go.
What he said, Chipotle.
Chipotle, not Coldplay. Although that would work too. So Adrian, are you playing any classic video games nowadays?
I don't play any classics. I play Halo. That's about the rubberheads.
Kind of classic?
Yeah, I mean, it's Infinite, so it's 2021. It's not necessarily classic.
I was thinking the 2001 version on the Xbox.
Nah. No, I like Infinite. Like, I mean, I do like a certain level of good graphics. I like the new campaign. It's pretty good. I like the updates they've done to it. I think that Halo Infinite has got a bad rap because of the development, right? So a lot of features were only put in afterwards. 2/3 of the campaign content was cut, and because of that, it was caused a bit of a problem. So yeah, it's fine though. It's not. It's actually pretty good now.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You ever see Elysium? That movie? It's like Halo, basically.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like Halo, but I do like Halo is actually interesting because I feel like it has a lot of. The one thing I don't like about the current expansion for how they're tapping into the lore is that they're kind of denying the deeper context of the Reclaimer. You know, the Reclaimer being us humans, and that effectively we are descendants of the Forerunners. We technically are Forerunners, which is also the reason why when we interact with the technology in that video game, that this technology is so intuitively made in some way, right? You ever notice that the in-universe canon basically explains that humans and Forerunners are so similar because they're basically the same people in many ways. They're like, hey, this was optimized in a certain way to basically be able to, you can use it too because it's the same thing. Right? Look at all the other aliens that exist. You have the elites, you have the grunts, you have the banished. They all are very physically different. I mean, the grunts basically need a suit that gives them a certain atmosphere 100% of the time. The banished are like this weird creature that has 3 fingers for some reason that always runs around in armor that's easy to break. And they have crackhead deployments too. Which, if you play the Halo game, these guys that come run after you and just beat the shit out of you. It's great. Yeah, the big guy with the gravity hammer comes along and just pancakes their ass. It's a lot of fun. But you can see that all those are very different from you, in many ways. And those things I like. Even the AIs that the humans have made perfectly interface with the Forerunner technology. So at some point you're going to ask yourself, well, I mean, how do they close that loophole? Well, it's because you're basically a Forerunner. Right, that's what you are. You're just a Forerunner, right? So, I think that expanding on that would be nice because there's this one picture of Reach post the Battle of Reach, where in the background on the far left of that picture, you will see a type of ship or infrastructure that looks very human but also Forerunner-esque, and that is because in the future lore there is the potential for expansion that the humans actually do in fact embrace the deeper ancestry that they have with the Forerunners and then use the technology of the Forerunners themselves and effectively meld it with their own and then restore to themselves what ancient humanity was before the Forerunners themselves wiped it out. Or at least, ironically enough, the end of the Forerunners and the beginning of the humans was relatively similar in that there was literally this thing of saying, hey, the humans had ended and begun at the same time because the Forerunners decided to exterminate the planet and then put, caveman humanity back on it, and then they'd have to develop back up to what they are then effectively in the universe today with, all the technology that they have to then eventually catch up to some degree with the Covenants and their technology by just using elements of Forerunner technology that's just being abused by everybody across the galaxy. Not so more than by the Master Chief himself, whose primary objective was
Cortana, let's blow up this ring. We gotta take him out now. I only see more problems.
That was literally the whole fucking campaign. It was like him saying, like, the little AI is going, wow, this is beautiful. And this guy's like,
all I see is more problems.
It was like, it was just like, damn. Can we, like, just not blow up the ring for a change? Can we just, like, repair this thing? So there is actually an expansion that's coming to that, content-wise, and it's going to be a book. So I'm looking forward to that, because I really want to know what the continuation of Zeta Halo is, because it's actually really nice. But after that, like, it's really a problem for the game, because that should have been just an expansion to the campaign. You could have just, like, put that on as DLC. I think that would have been better. Because Halo Infinite has been properly fleshed out. There are new features in it. It's really, really cool. You could just expand the current narrative, really. You could really expand that. And it would be so beautiful. Especially since people have already played through most of the campaign. You know, just like augment the file, and you have more things to do. They should have just done that. But Microsoft and 343 Studios, which is now Halo Studios, don't actually understand the game that they're working with and what the people genuinely want. I don't think that people want more books. They just want more game. And they have a game that released in 2021, but was only fully fleshed out in 24 and 25. That's not good. So I think that, you know, it's a great game. You'll have a lot of fun in it. You will yearn for more, for sure. But it's a nice thing to play at the end of, like, a work week. You know, like, you're doing things, and, you know, you're like, what the hell is that? What's that sound? You were typing. Too much typing.
Because the immigrants, they're not going through background checks.
That's your code there, Blaze dog.
They're being hired.
Blaze. Why is no more typing?
Old Blaze now.
Bruh. Yeah, just relax, like the clicking. Yeah. I do have a mechanical keyboard also, but I have the one that's from Asus. It's an Asus keyboard. And it has like the really nice, there is clickiness to it, that it's not very clicky. It's kind of like a deeper click. It's like a typewriter. It's like a typewriter, but if it was advanced, it feels like an advanced typewriter.
So have you ever actually used a mechanical typewriter?
No, I have not, but I know how it works.
Electromechanical. Those things are so satisfying. Yeah. It was just
yeah. That was the one that you used in the interrogator chamber. Is always like.
Exactly. Have you heard the ones with the solenoids in them? Those things are freaking loud.
Nah.
We want to have a meetup in Boston, Massachusetts at the Computer Museum. They can all try their keyboards. So I think that's a really cool museum there. Old computers, new ones, computer stuff.
Right. That's pretty good. Nice. But yeah, no, I would highly recommend playing Halo Infinite. It's pretty nice. I played it a lot. I played every day, practically. I have to skip some days because I was just busy, but I really, really enjoy that game. You know, it's a really good game. It allows for, like, say, for instance, when you're playing, so you can play multiplayer, which is just like playing against normal people, or you can play it against the grunts and the banished, right? And it's just in a general multiplayer setting. So if you understand the AI and how it works enough, then you're going to perform very well within that game, and you're genuinely gonna have a lot of fun. Like Synthetica and I were like playing yesterday, you know, practically almost all night, and just like doing things, dominating. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually all night.
Yeah, I mean, it was all night. It's pretty good. Yeah, so we had a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. It keeps being fun. And eventually we're going to do the campaign thing. So I'm going to get my computer's thing. So we'll finally do the shipping. And then once that happens, I will have a better computer so I can run more people on the same instance of campaign, and then we'll just have a community crossover. Also, since I'm like almost finished with a lot of the extra work that I'm doing, we'll also have time again for like the Bitcoin calls, because I've like put some of those off, and we'll like be able to get back in that as well. But largely, I might need to phase that out over time, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, it's been a thing. We're doing a lot of things. We're very busy. I'm just trying to like do the thing where I said, hey, remember like early on at the beginning of 2025, I said, it's the age of empires. So we're gonna have to build something. We're gonna build empires of our own. This is the time. So it's no time for no working. You have like a small amount of time that's available to you right now that you can actually do something productive with. And if you don't do that, you'll be fucked in the future. You'll regret it, and you'll hate yourself massively because of it. So instead of like manifesting self-hatred, like unless you manifest like self-hatred for the future, like for yourself in the future, you don't want that. So you better get to work now, right? So that's what we're doing. So we're building things and chasing the nice payoff. Let me find something real quick, because I have an old thing.
Time is the only resource you cannot reclaim, because once you sell your time to make money,
time is the ultimate currency.
You take your money to get a loan, and then you get this depreciating asset with a loan. So all your time has been pissed away to nothing. It's just so sad.
Boom, there you go. That was my post for my old Live in the Age of Empires. And yeah, this. Where is it? What is this? I have a ton of posts, like a gigantic database of posts. To find a specific one is to rely on the similarity search on X, which kind of sucks.
X needs a hypercube.
It really does.
They should get a Mac Mini or two.
Bingo, found it. That's the one. Time is the ultimate currency. I pre-mined that shit back in 2024.
Good one.
So yeah, there's a lot of things. You can in fact just like search certain words and things on my profile, and you'll find a ton of interesting takes. It's like, this is also the reason why I record the spaces, so you can have like an archive of stuff that you can look into in the past and see how consistent I've been with kind of myself, the vision for what I wanted to over time, right? So this is amazing. Alright, final checks, chicken chat.
You kind of sounded like a pilot there. Final checks.
Yeah. We be doing things. That's a fun one. Alright, we go with that then.
Let's check replies. Rob says, is the conversation back daily, or is this a one-off?
Weekly.
No, we're back
Weekly.
every Saturday. Yeah, weekly.
Yeah, we're doing it weekly for a couple hours every week. Sometimes it will be less time that's available for us. It depends on what's happening and what we're gonna do. So.
date on its own, have music and everything, just an entertainment app as you would, like be on the train or anything.
How far did you get on that?
It was complete.
Okay, according to you, you were supposed to be paid 3 payments of $1,650?
Correct.
And you were paid 2, but not the third.
Yeah, it's processing. We're processing.
Why don't you just give him the project that you want him to do instead of telling him, come up with something fabulous?
Well, that was the terms that I came up with for him.
Come up with something fabulous?
Yeah. Rather than going back home and going,
What kind of business do you have?
Jewelry business.
Okay, and as I understand it, you're pretty successful.
I'm not bad. I'm doing okay.
You're doing okay for a boy from Queens.
Yeah.
Because I read some press about the people who buy your jewelry.
Yeah.
And you got some big names there.
Yeah, we work hard and we run a business, and when I get a chance to work with somebody, I will. If I have an extra room, I have
that. Siraj, I'm sad to say.
Got into a fight? Is that what it is? Because that's the only thing I can see that's different.
I didn't want to pay the remaining amount because I don't have an application. And if I pay him, I'm going to be begging for this application, begging for its terms.
I'm sorry, what is left for the application?
The application is actually done. I actually have billing statements from the third-party platform stating that he's still paying for the service to be rendered. So again, it's up to him.
Yeah, I played him like 5 times already. He's really good, yeah.
We played live on the space last night. He played like the whole space, playing multiple people at once and just destroying everybody.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 rating versus like 1,000, so everyone just gets wrecked pretty much.
By the way, I was playing with Alternate in the afternoon. Yeah, we were live streaming on X.
Alright, there you go. I posted it. Posted it to the company accounts. So if you guys want to have like reference for where to find that, it's right there. So if any one of you are like public personalities in ways, that's the best way to describe that. And like to order a shirt, only take pictures, result in it, especially if it's very presentable, not too bad. Then yeah, you can buy some of the conversation or time chain merch. And yeah, technically wrap up.
You can't go to my curl with a record. Yeah. Alright, what's your record? What's your record? Oh no, you can't. You can.
So you ain't gonna. So like every day when we have the conversation, there's a little cup of coffee there. But you drink from the same mug that I drink from, and like everybody else drinks from. And the stuff that the clothing's made out of is actually pretty good. So we've kept that in mind also. So this is stuff that we genuinely would use ourselves, right? We'd never selling anything that we're not, comfortable representing or even using ourselves, because, that's just unethical and that's fucked up. And we have very high standards. We'll never sell you anything that we don't use ourselves, or don't believe in, or don't understand, right? So basic ethics, kind of went out of fashion at basic ethics, which is insane to me, but I mean, you can in fact do things and bring it back for yourself, especially because I believe that a lot of people in the community here are, relatively intelligent, so, make decisions for yourself. So, yeah, it actually has to be good.
One more important thing, Adrian, we are trying to stay away from polyester.
Yes, as much as possible. We're trying to stay away from polyester as much as possible.
What is polyester abdomen?
Endocrine disruptors, it basically is not something that you really want to be having inside of your body. It's not good. I also would highly recommend for people to not wear Lululemon for exercising, because that just gets in you.
Lemon? What is lemon?
Lululemon, bro.
Back when I'm a gamer, so like back when the
Romans came back around and slaughtered them, right, and caused the revolt. And then in the 600s AD, they went in under the Persian banner. When the Persians and the Romans were having wars, they went in, they slaughtered over 50,000 Christians. This is before Islam. They slaughtered over 50,000 Christians and tried to seize control of the land. The Persians, who they were fighting alongside, were they were astonished by the level of violence committed by the Jews in that era.
You're talking about stories from 2,000 years ago, and
this happened 1,400 years ago.
What is the?
Yes. So there is a precedent
Zion's.
3,000-year-old.
So the point is that there is a precedent for Jews doing this. This is not new to Judaism.
Guys, I just want to say quickly, do you see I go out of my way to try to protect a religion, and I don't desperately say anything. I know some of this history, but I do my best to sort of to try to separate. And then we have people like Tom who just join it together. Then they get mad, and when people are saying things that Jews are doing this, I don't get it. But
No, at least Tom is being honest. It is actually intellectually dishonest to separate Zionism from Judaism.
Very well, very well. Now, let me reveal to you the reality of Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom, the land is yours. I can confirm it. Right? There were some circumstances. Wait, sir, please. There were some circumstances that driven you to live in Iraq for about 200 years. Then Koresh brought you back. Other circumstances that led to other things, and you were deported from these lands for a couple of hundreds of years. And these lands were other people, other humans lived in it. Now you return back after a couple of hundreds of years, claiming your lands. My question to you, and I want you to be as honest as you've started, does that justify what you are doing right? What the Jews, Zionists, those who came from Isaac, I don't care, or the ones who love them, does that justify what you are doing right now?
I don't even know if I'm related to Isaac from the Bible.
My question is clear, please. Please. I said whether you came from Isaac. I'm sorry. I said whether you came from Isaac or you just being a person who have your ancestors converted. I was clear. My question, does that justify what the people who have the Israeli passport doing to the other people? Yes or no?
You want yes or no would be a childish answer. The answer is my ancestors from my mom's side grew up and lived in Israel for 300 years. On my father's side, they came from Europe after the war. The point is that there is 80 million people moved around. 1 million Jews.
I told you, it was your land, it wasn't stolen from you. My question is, does that justifies the killings that you are doing?
Please let me finish. 1 million Jews were kicked out of Arab countries. 1 million Arabs left Israel. 80 million people moved around during that time. Syria was created. Lebanon was created. Jordan was created. And including Israel was created. But Israel is the only place where the Palestinians have to come back. Why aren't the Prussians having to come back to Russia? Why aren't the Czechoslovakian and the Slovakians not going back to each other's countries? Why aren't Palestinians going to Jordan? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's the reality of...
Now, you've created Israel. Wait. You've created your lovely country. I wish you all the best. Now, why don't you end up the occupation and have the two-state solutions where the Palestinians have their own... Wait, sir. Where the Palestinians could have the fraction that was given to them by the UN, or whatever reality that was created after 1967, and then end these inhumane actions.
The answer is that it can happen and it should happen, and it doesn't because of people like some of the people in this forum. The reason it can happen is because, please let me finish. You have 2 million Arabs. There's some Arabs here, right? There's 2 million of you in Israel, in serving in government, being judges, having 100% people. Wait, please.
Can you show us an Arab fighter pilot?
No, the Arab, there's Jewish fighter pilots.
No, show us an Arab fighter pilot.
There's Jewish fighter pilots.
Of course,
I know
Jewish supremacy. You said it's democracy. Show me an Arab fighter pilot.
I know personally Jews are Arabs, right?
No, they are not.
They're not Arabs. Well, the Arab I know speaks Arabic, was born in Israel, only grew up in Arabic environment, and he's a pilot.
The Druze are a different situation.
You know. Point. It's actually the 2 million Arabs that have the Israeli Jews living alongside them.
Sure. Do they have equal rights? Okay, well, we can replicate that. We can have
Do they
them
have
be.
equal rights? I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you something honestly. I
Muslim
learned this.
people.
They do not. I've seen so many reports. There is. So this is the issue that I have. So when with South Africa, right? When there was the Afrikaners, and then the white, the whatever. We know the whole history. They lived together. That doesn't mean that there wasn't apartheid-like conditions. What about the U.S. during slavery? They lived together, but there's apartheid.
Give me an example of something in
Okay,
Israel.
let me give you an example. So I'll say right away. When it comes down to pay, Arabs, they can do the exact same job as an Israeli Jew and not get paid the same amount. If you want to work inside of Israel, you have to get paid for permits to come over and work. If you're Jewish, there's no
That's Palestinian. That's Palestinian.
But that's still apartheid.
No, we're talking
That's
about
still
Arabs inside
apartheid.
Israel.
Palestinians not Arab?
We're talking about Arabs.
That is apartheid.
I'm giving you an example of what works.
So
How
what's the
Arab
difference
and
between a
Jews
Palestinian Arab and an Arab that was Palestinian living in Israel? I don't get the difference.
Because Palestinians lives under the Palestinian Authority and they need special permits to go into Israel.
Yeah, but these permits these permits are charging them to come and work.
Can you go work in Mexico? Can you work in Mexico?
Why would I go to Mexico? This is
Why would the Palestinian?
Hold on, 1 second. Hold on. Give me a second. I can't. I can get a worker's visa and I will get paid exactly the same. No, but I don't pay for it. I'll get paid exactly the same. I'll have the exact same taxation. Everything will be the same with the rest of the Mexicans there. But let me explain this to you, which is really pissing me off here. Palestine's under occupation. They are not a sovereign country. So the fact that they're paying enormous amounts of money to go across to work at the exact same job, that same work, same qualifications, and they get paid less. The people, and also the taxation is different. What's even crazy is 2% of their pay goes to this crazy fund that's set up to help go and train Israeli Jews to eventually take their position over. So no, it is not the same thing. It's not equitable in any sense.
This is for everybody. Now she's talking about Arabs from Gaza and the other territories going into Israel to work, purposely conflating the 2 million Arabs that live in Israel. That this, hold on, please. None of what you said applies to the 2 million. You're talking about 2 million. Why are you lying? What am I lying about? Oh my God, tell me.
The Palestinians who live in Gaza or the West Bank, they are living as animals. They are not being treated as human beings. That's number one. The Arabs who have not been, that you did not kill and gave your citizenship to, are living in an apartheid state where Jews have a specific rights, while the Arabs doesn't.
We're not talking about them. Can we finish the conversation about the 2 million Arabs who live in Israel as the example of Israel accepting, allowing, embracing Arabs inside of Israel? When we finish talking about that, I'm happy to talk about Gaza and the West Bank.
That's a logical fallacy, Tom, and you know it too. Just because a apartheid state allows a type of a race of people to live within their borders does not mean that they're also not committing a genocide. It does not mean that apartheid is.
Tell me. Okay, so you guys are afraid of answering that question? All the listeners there.
But we had that conversation.
Answer the question.
Afraid? Hold on. You think we're afraid? I'm really confused.
You are.
It makes no sense to me. So, what is the difference from an Arab to an Arab to an Arab? What's the difference?
The difference is one of them is outside of the borders of Israel, and the other one is inside the borders of Israel.
No. Listen, hold on. This is a funny part. So, in the United States and Europe,
actually, the
countries, you could listen. You guys could literally, when people come as immigrants, they live in the country. They're not they haven't been there. They're not that religion, culture, etc. They get paid the same. They have the same rights. Even if a Canadian is going to America to work, etc., you get paid the exact same way. That's what's called democracy, which apparently Israel is, but it's not. That is such a bullshit statement you're making here. I'm a dual citizen. When I work between Canada and the USA, I literally get paid as an American, as a Canadian. My taxes are the same. I don't have to go and apply for a permit to be able to build a home in the US because I was born in Canada, but I am a dual. Like, I don't understand. Hold on a second. Hold on. I have family and friends who gone to work in other countries, like Germany, Italy, etc. They get paid the exact same way in which citizens living there are. They have the same legal laws that apply to them. They have the same taxation that applies. What is your point? So you're trying to tell me that they're going to, one second. When an American comes to work in Israel, are they paid differently? Are there different taxations? Are they having to pay for it?
Are you talking about the Arabs in Israel or the Arabs in the territory?
Israel. So if American comes over, because they're not from Israel, right? Do they get paid differently? There's different taxation? If you're American, Canadian, Russian.
Amazing how you're not willing to answer the question.
I'm asking you a question. Can you establish that first? And then I'll get to that next part.
The answer is yes, and Arabs in Israel get the exact same everything as Jews in Israel with no difference whatsoever, no exceptions. Show me one exception and I'll concede defeat.
What's the one exception?
You show me one exception. Arabs in Israel get
the exception. The fact that you've actually gone and differentiated one Arab from the other. They're Palestinians.
Yes, why don't you tell me the Jordanians should be able to work in Israel too?
Why not?
Because are you able to work in Mexico or do you need a special permit?
I can. Of course I can.
And you need a special permit?
No. It's called a worker visa and I don't pay for it. I can work there, but I get paid exactly the same.
We need to dive into the Israeli thing, right? So you said 2 million of them, they work inside. Do they have self-determination, or is it just exclusive for the Jewish people?
100% all the rights exactly.
Self-determination, they passed a law in 2018. Can you look it up?
Look, no, what the law says is that Israel is a Jewish state. Can everybody practice whatever they want with absolute freedom, 24/7?
Self-determination is exclusively to the Jewish people, is unique, that promotes settlements and whatnot. You should look into it.
No, you should look into it. You should look into it.
This is what it said.
What can Arabs not do in Israel? Stop with the.
They build settlements in the middle of nowhere. They build settlements, or do they need permission?
Arabs in Israel live in every single city that every Jew lives. So the answer is yes.
Okay, let's dive into the self-determination part. I'm gonna read you every little thing and every detail.
Amir, can I just say this quickly, Amir? Hold on. Since 1966, Martial law can only be applied to Arab citizens in Israel, but not Jewish.
I don't know what you can't tell who's Jewish or not in Israel.
William, this is a law. I just pulled up with
How are you going to tell the difference in Israel?
Now that I've given him one reason, and then Amir's going to give him a whole slew of them, and he
I mean, there's a whole database about nadala.com about this, right? But I don't even want to go into this whole, discrimination against Israeli Arabs. Let's assume, I'm going to go with you, Tom, and let's assume that Israeli Arabs have all their rights and there's absolutely no discrimination whatsoever, right? Now, let's move on to the next stage, the West Bank. Would you probably call Yehuda and Samaria? Right?
Sure.
Okay, so what should we do about that? Are we annexing it or are we leaving it? Or are we going to perpetually occupy it? And what about all the Arabs living there? Why don't we just give them citizenship, incorporate them into the land, incorporate them into the country, and create one country for all the citizens living on that land?
So that was for many years what many Israelis supported. The problem is that the cultures are so different that in the last, I would say, 20, 25 years, voices in Israel started saying, look, there is going to be more. If you combine Gaza, the Arabs in Israel, the Arabs in the Golan, and the Arabs in the West Bank, there's going to be a demographic threat to the Jews. So there'll eventually be more Arabs than Jews, and they have full
Why is that a problem if there's equality in the land?
listen, and they would vote out the Jews. And that would be okay if the culture were the same. But the Jews are not willing to live like Hamas. They're not willing because
So
they're not
what's the difference? Hold on. What's the difference in the culture between the Israeli Arabs and the Palestinians in the West Bank?
Good point.
The Israeli Arabs are in Israel, they're peaceful, they support Israel, they don't like Hamas, they don't like the West Bank because...
There's a lot of Israeli Arabs that do not like Israel. The Intifada, put that on full display, man.
Yes, but
Culturally speaking, actually, they're almost identical. Like I personally know Arabs, like Palestinians, from the West Bank and Israeli Arabs in Canada. They are best of friends. They are one people. Like they don't consider themselves anything.
In Canada,
and even there, like there's a lot of Israeli Arabs that used to go to the West Bank to like buy stuff, to like chill with their cousins and all of that. So the culture, they are indistinguishable from each other.
You know what? They won't marry. They make fun of how the Arabs...
They do marry.
They do, but they talking about statistically. I know Arabs. They're making fun. They're like in the West Bank.
No, they do marry. First of all, they do marry. Second of all, there are laws in Israel. This is one of the laws in Adala.com that try to prevent Israeli Arabs from marrying West Bank Arabs. So the fact that their marriage numbers are not very high, that's due to Israeli intervention.
Can I chime in, guys?
But culturally speaking, hold on, wait, I'm talking to the guy. Culturally speaking, they are indistinguishable. They are the same exact people.
They're not.
They are.
In Gaza, they're much more religious. They're much more militant. They're much more backwards.
Wow.
They're militant because they're being occupied.
Potentially.
Because they're being blockaded. You lift the blockade, you treat them like normal human beings, you give them all the rights that Israeli Arabs have, and by extension, because we're assuming that there's equality, Israelis have. You treat them like you would treat a Jew. You treat a goy like you would treat a Jew. I know it's preposterous for you, but try to do it, right? And they won't be as militant. They won't be as oppressive. They won't be as wacko, right? Are they religious? Sure, but there's a lot of religious Jews. There's neighborhoods in Israel where if you drive through them on the Sabbath, they will stone your car.
And
that sounds pretty fucking religious to me.
Tom, again, the fact that you have... Tom, can you check the link? Tom, can you check the link that I sent, guys? It was actually a few hours ago. Israelis were celebrating. Everyone, please click the link that I sent on Instagram. Israelis were literally celebrating rockets fired on Arab neighborhoods in Israel. My friend, you're absolutely wrong, bro. Israel literally has a law, bro, that's literally race and apartheid, okay, bro? So I don't know what you're trying to say. Like, apartheid, I want to ask you a question. You said the reason why people in Gaza, the reason why people in Gaza are making this because of you. You guys should lift the blockade, get the fuck out of historical Palestine, and go back to fucking Europe.
Oh, there's no blockade in 2005. What happened then?
Okay.
Here goes the line.
We're not gonna get into it. Guys, stop it. Stop the railing. Okay? So, why is it that if you are so adamant that Israeli Arabs are so integrated into Israeli society and are so assimilated and have all the rights and have complete equality and love being Israeli, why don't you extend this to the rest of the Arabs on the entire historic Palestine, which you effectively occupy, whether it's through direct occupation like the West Bank or blockading and sieging like Gaza? Take the whole land, create one state for all the people that live there.
Because a big portion of those Arabs are stating openly that they're dedicated to the destruction of Israel. And you're saying, hold on, and you're saying, Tom, trust me, they will change once you embrace them.
You want to understand what democracy is.
Okay, hold on.
A free and equal, a free and equal land for everyone, right? You're talking about a Jewish faith, right, that does not treat people equally, that has to keep identification papers just for the Arabs. I've been sitting here listening.
No, that's wrong.
About bullshit.
That's wrong. There's no identification papers for the Arabs. You're wrong.
Like virtue signal.
Wrong. I'm not gonna centralize. There's no ID for Arabs.
Okay, so
so take it back. You want to continue? Take it back.
With your answer, you do realize that you're justifying why there is resistance,
You
right?
can't lie half the sentences. There is no ID for Arabs.
Right?
We can continue. We can continue once you said there's no ID for Arabs.
Okay, can I just speak with Tom?
Equal.
I'm trying to have a conversation with this guy.
Alright, guys, go.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think, Tom, that Israeli Arabs are comfortable in Israel?
Israeli Arabs inside Israel, the 2 million, the vast majority are very comfortable, yes.
Okay. Would you be comfortable if 50% of the population wanted to kick you out of your home?
There's no 50% of the population that wants to eat out Arab.
Yes, it is. Do you want me to bring the statistics for you? This is pure research. It's not like some Arab think tank or anything like that. Pure research has shown that roughly 50% of the population wants it to expel the Arab Jews. They view it as a mistake to keep anybody in Palestine or in Israel, right? From 1948. That this was a mistake. We shouldn't have kept anybody. We should have expelled them all. Instead of expelling 80%, we should have expelled 100%.
That may have been a better idea, but no, you're not going to see.
See, he just, the Freudian slip. This is called the Freudian slip.
So I guess
It just
so
came
like,
out.
would you
It just
feel
came
very
out. He just
comfortable?
had to blurt it out. I mean, trust no Zionist in this world. Everyone is evil. There are no good Zionists and a bad Zionist. There are their own Zionists.
How many Jews
as simple
are in
as
Arab
that.
countries? How many Jews are in Arab countries? You're all
Dude,
Arabs.
if you want to go down, why Jews were expelled from Arab countries, I would suggest, yes, I would suggest a book written by an Iraqi Jew who actually participated in these operations, in which he has very well documented.
Of course.
It wasn't just Arab.
Listen, Israel tried to Jews suffered under
Operation Yaqeen?
I want to talk about the fact that there's 1 million Jews, and the operations you're talking about brought a few thousand Jews. And in the world,
Operation Yaqeen? Really? A few thousand?
How many?
Operation, okay, let me look into it.
Go look into it. This whole group.
Operation Yaqeen brought about 90 to 97,000 Jews to Israel. That's from Morocco alone. 2,000? That's Morocco alone. That's one country. That's not Iraq. That's not Syria. Well, Syria is a different story. Iraq was a big one, right? That's the book that if you want to look into it, it's called Ben Gurion Scandals. How the Haganah, how the Mossad. It's a book by. Let me bring it up.
Avi Shalom.
You don't have to bring it up.
Avi Shalom, yes, Avi Shalom.
The fact that Israel helped Jews escape Arab countries is not the same.
No, it's not Avi Shalom. Sorry, it's Naim Gilad. It's called Ben Gurion Scandals: How the Haganah and the Mossad Eliminated Jews.
There is another book.
I think you're talking about the invention of the Jewish.
I don't remember, but there is another book written by Dr. Avi Schleim, who himself is an Iraqi Jew, and his family had to leave Iraq because the Zionists, started bombing synagogues and so on, and they were forced to leave Iraq because of the insecurity created by the Zionists, not by the Iraqis.
Naim Giladi talks about this as well, and he also talks about the discrimination of the Ashkenazi Jews against the Sephardim and the Mizrahi. This is pretty well documented that Jews left the Arab world because the Zionists wanted them to leave the Arab world. If I can just...
Why would that be controversial? The Zionists did want them to leave, but they suffered under Arab rule.
One sec. Funny, let me...
No, that's the thing.
Because I've read all these books in detail.
Okay.
The reason why they were so controversial is if you read these two books and read all the other books that talk about what the Zionist regime was doing to these Jews, is that during the destabilization of the entire Middle East, a lot of Jews had kind of signed up to go ahead and say, yeah, we would probably go to Israel, but not really, because they weren't sure they're standing in these places, right? then what the Zionists figured out was, oh, if we don't bomb these places and create destabilizations, they won't come to Israel, right? So they did two things. They went ahead and bombed the crap out of other Jews in the Middle East, and then went ahead and spread propaganda to them saying, oh, it was the Arab states. And then when all of this happened, and some of the Jews were like, okay, maybe this could be the beginning of what was going on, then they started to migrate, right? And on arrival to Israel, Israel then also went ahead and said, let's also bomb the fact that they're even coming into Israel, so we can stir more sentiment of, we need to get more Jews in here, you're still being attacked, all that stuff, whatever. It wasn't until much later in the whole outer bowl did some states go ahead and start, doing stuff against the Jewish people or whatever, because of what Israel started claiming. Israel started claiming that the Jewish people in these Arab countries and all that stuff were gonna do insurrections from within the country to eliminate the heads of states, right? And in that, the heads of states thought that this was credible, right? So they were trying to get on top of that. And then that started their whole thing. And I don't condone what they did, right? They should have verified their sources. They should have did a lot of fact checking and everything, right? But it wasn't because of the fact that they hated Jews in the first place. It was because of the fact that the Israelis went ahead and caused mass disturbance, started killing other Jews, and then used their
How many other Jews died? You see, there's a few small examples that you guys love sticking to with some conspiracies. On the other hand, all million Arabs who left Israel acknowledged.
So wait. So Jews lived in the Arab world for hundreds of years till the creation of the state Israel. And all of a sudden they were treated
They're always submissive to the Muslim. They always have to pay a special
tax. So they did just fine. They did very well. Hold on one second. Why is Hold on one second. So they did very well. They did very well till the Israeli state of Israel was created, right? Right before that, they were doing just fine.
Earlier, I think the significant challenges started.
Do you know how if when a Zionist is lying? When they're breathing.
When he's talking.
When they're breathing.
Listen, man, I agree with that, but I would say anyway. The fact of the matter is, Jews were actually doing really well in the Middle East. A lot of your Jewish scholarship came out of the Middle East. Party was actually friends. Whenever Jews were being expelled from Europe, by and large, they went to the Middle East. They went to the Muslim lands, right? Muslims treated you much better than anybody else, and to their detriment. Because as soon as they got the chance, you guys got the chance to, you stabbed the Muslims in the back.
Give me an example.
An example of what? Of stabbing Muslims in the back, or of Muslims treating you better?
Jews stabbing Muslims in the back.
Well, how about Eli Cohen?
Eli Cohen was what? What year?
Was a Jew. He was Egyptian, right?
Yes.
And he infiltrated Syria and gave information about Syria to the Israeli state. The Jews who lived in Palestine, there's plenty of examples. If you want, there's a whole list, bro.
No, you gave examples of where populations of Jews stabbed Arabs in the back, and you're stupid fucking example.
I'm talking about Jewish individuals stabbing Arabs in the back.
You're talking about one spy, obviously.
Can we do just a video? The man, please stop coming off the mic. He's talking about historical, some of this stuff, even I'm not aware of it. Go on.
There are plenty of examples of Jews that stabbed the Arabs in the back for their Jewish brethren from Europe. There's a whole huge list, right? And a lot of these people are actually venerated in Israel. So, including Korean Jews, by the way, not only rabbinic Jews. There were Korean Jews that also did the same thing. Non-Talmud believing Jews.
You guys are again conflating these weird stories.
Weird stories. This is how your state was formed, bro. How do you think you got information on all of the Palestinian villages? Because you had the Arabs, the Arab Jews who lived in Palestine and have lived in Palestine for hundreds, if not thousands of years, started collecting information on their neighbors, on the villages around them, and giving it to the Zionists. That's how your state was formed, man.
What do you expect? It's like
I don't expect a fifth column population out of the Jews.
And what population? There's no population. There's no country there. There are villages under the Ottoman Empire, under the British rule.
That's still a population. Population is people living there. It doesn't have to be a country to be a population.
There's a Jewish village, there's an Arab village, and if there's a new country being formed.
Actually, no, that's not the case.
Yeah,
there were plenty of cities. No, there were plenty of cities, not just villages, in which, and villages as well, by the way, in which Muslims, Christians, and Jews all lived in the same place. There would be Jewish neighborhoods within the same city as a diverse set of populations. Hebron was like this, Jerusalem was like this, Nablus was like this. There were Jews living with all, and then there's the villages as well, in which, yes, the villages tend to be a little bit more segregated, but yes, you would have Jews living amongst Muslims and Christians.
And when the Arabs did the exact same thing, attacked their Jewish neighbors, that's okay. But when the Jews did it, you're Jews stabbing you in the back. Do you understand?
Well, the Arabs did it because the Jews stabbed them in the back, or for their Jewish brethren coming from abroad.
So the Jews did it because the Arabs stabbed them in the back, because the Arabs' population grew threefold by immigration from Egypt, from Syria, from Jordan.
That's not true.
How did the Arabs in Israel have El Misri, El Lebanani, all these names from Lebanon, Syria, Jordan? Where are these from? Just
Hold on. When someone had the last name of al-Masri, that could mean that his family immigrated from hundreds of years ago. And it's possible as well. It's not necessary. There are plenty of people who have the last name al-Masri because that person, like an ancestor of that person, would do trading with Masr, with Egypt, and he gets the last name al-Masri, right? And the vast majority of the families in Palestine don't have last names like this, indicating that they have foreign ancestry, right? And even if they did have foreign ancestry from hundreds of years ago, that doesn't really matter. That does not mean, and there's absolutely no evidence, and I dare you to bring it, that the population of Arabs grew threefold within the span of like 1 or 2 generations.
Okay, Benny,
I need to provide this evidence.
Okay, Benny, I have a question.
So how do you know a Zionist? Hold on. How do you know a Zionist is lying?
He's breathing.
Is they're breathing.
Okay, yeah.
You should probably replace the word Zionist with Jew, because that's what it says in the Bible.
No, I don't do that stuff. I don't do that stuff.
Tom, we know there are Jewish people in Israel with the surname Kaufman, Goldberg, Eskimov, and so on. They are not certainly, Hebrew names or Arabic names. They are not names. Any of the Semitic languages does not carry that name. So that shows, if you're right, then they are all, they don't belong there. They need to leave that place. Yeah. If a Palestinian with the surname of El Mesri doesn't belong there, then a Jew with the surname of Goldman and Kaufman does not belong there. It's as simple as that.
I didn't say they don't belong there. I didn't say that.
Sure, that's what you meant when you said El Mesri is from Misr.
Not only did you say they don't belong there, what you said was...
I didn't say they don't belong there.
You actually, implicitly you did, because what you said earlier, was that, we probably should have kicked out all the Palestinians. So you're saying they don't belong there. And you're just pointing back that 80% of them were kicked out.
That's the point of massive population movements, and it would have probably been better if many more Palestinians moved back to Lebanon, to Egypt, and to Jordan. And maybe Jordan would have kept the West Bank, and the West Bank would have been a part of Jordan the way it was until '67. And I think that would have been a better way to. And Gaza would have been a part of Egypt like it was before. I do think that would have been better.
Gaza was not part of Egypt.
Okay. This is what.
Hold on. This is not true. Gaza was not part of Egypt. Gaza was not part of Egypt.
Until 1967.
It was not. No, that's not true. In 1948, after the war, the Egyptians established Gaza under the all-Palestine government. It was not annexed into Egypt. It was never annexed into Egypt. Egypt had no intention of annexing Gaza. It was not part of Egypt. It was
It was
Palestine.
not annexed. There is no border. They went in and out free out of Gaza into Egypt.
Okay.
It's acted like one entity.
Hold on. There's a bunch of European countries that have no borders in which people can travel in and out of them. That doesn't mean that they are all one nation. They are different nations with open borders. There's nothing wrong with having open borders. That doesn't mean you have a nation, right? The All-Palestine government was established in 1948. You can look this up. Just write All-Palestine government, and it'll be the first thing that comes up. This was established in Gaza. Now, the West Bank was annexed by Jordan, this is true, and all the Arab countries did not recognize, actually, the vast majority of countries around the world, only 3 or 4 countries, including the United States and the United Kingdom, I believe, actually recognized this annexation. The vast majority of countries across the world, including all the Arab countries, did not recognize this annexation and wanted it to be a Palestinian government.
It was fully controlled by Egypt, and it just was given a special status. Had nothing to do with Israel. Israel didn't control it. Israel had nothing to do with it. My point is that would have been better.
Yeah, and then Israel went in '67, launched a war, and occupied all of these areas, including the Sinai and the Golan Heights.
Yo, this guy is stupid, bro. Wallahi, you're stupid, and you're making me fucking really go crazy right now, bro. Are you saying that I'm sure someone like Smotrich, then give me your fake ass prime minister name, who's actually really is Malkowski, or all these Zios, you guys are not in this fucking land, bro. Tell me how a nigga named Goldberg, okay, I'm supposed to say name Goldberg, sorry for saying that word, but Goldberg, or Goldstein, or Smotrich, or Malkowski is the idiots of the land of Palestine, bro. What kind of a retarded person are you, bro? Holy fuck. That is another fucking land, buddy. You guys are either fucking Polish, either fucking Ukrainian, Russian, either like American Arab.
No, Anas, the truth is, I don't care about indigeneity. Like, and we...
Well, I care about it.
No, I'm sorry. We in the region, we do not care about indigeneity. We accept people from other places, right? When the Armenians were hold on. When the Armenians were genocided, we gave them a home. In Syria, in Lebanon, in Palestine, we gave them a home, and they are still, until today, part of Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. And no Syrians want to kick them out.
I agree with you.
We have accepted them into our homes. When the Jews were genocided, they came on ships to Palestine as refugees. And guess what the Palestinians did?
That was the biggest mistake they made. That was the biggest mistake they made,
We don't have a problem with non-indigenous people coming and living with us, assimilating into our culture, participating in our economy, while preserving their own language, their own faith. Just like the Armenians who have preserved their churches, which are distinct from the rest of the Arab Christians. They are Orientals. Most Arab Christians are either Catholics or Eastern Orthodox, so they don't even marry Arab Christians. They don't worship with Arab Christians. They have preserved their Christian churches. They have preserved their language. The vast majority of Syrian and Lebanese Armenians speak Armenian, right? But they assimilated into the country. They are part of these nations. We don't have a problem with non-indigenous people coming in and living with us. Actually, this is the oldest melting pot of the whole world. We have so many different kinds of people. We can't split hairs. We have Kurds, Turks, Syrians, Arabs. We have a bunch of different people. The problem is, let me finish. Hold on, let me finish. The problem is, when a group of people comes and tries to assert sovereignty and kick out the people living there, we are going to have a problem with this. If the Armenians came to Aleppo and said Aleppo is now part of Armenia, and we're going to establish Aleppo as an Armenian state, and we're going to kick out the people living in Aleppo, kick out 80% and keep only 20%, we would have just as big a problem with the Armenians as we do with the Israelis. But guess what? No group of people have done this except for the fucking Jews.
Okay, Tom, here's the point. You kept saying that, about the stabbing in the back. You should listen to what Zionist historian Benny Morris has to say.
You have three historians.
Listen, Tom.
You have three of them, please. And there's 1,000 who disagree with them. Why are you sticking to the 1%?
No, I never mentioned Benny Morris. I'm taking his name for the first time. If you want, I can give you a dozen names. Okay, Zionists who claims. No, why don't you let me complete what I wanted to say? Benny Morris clearly says that we had to kick out 750,000 Palestinians in order to make room for the incoming Jews from the European Union, from Europe, because it is our land and it belongs to our land. And when our people come in from Europe, they need to have a house. So we had to kick them out. It wasn't as if you didn't plan it. They planned it very much in advance. They came in ships. They came, landed, they started, being nice to the Palestinians. And as soon as they were able to take a foothold in Palestine, the Zionists started kicking them out of their own land. And this is coming from Benny Morris. I'm not making this up. I suggest you read his books. There are lots of videos on YouTube where he makes it very clear that this is what happened. This is also corroborated by the leftist Jewish scholar, Dr. Avi Schleim, who says that, this is true. And this is the only thing that the rightist Jews and the leftist Jews, or right-wing Zionists and left-wing Zionists agree on, that yes, the Palestinians had to be kicked out. They were kicked out. That's it. So there's no point in your arguing that no, these things did not happen. They happened. And they still keep happening in the West Bank, in Gaza. Even as we speak, 2 million people in Gaza are being starved. What Israel calls the general's plan is being implemented in Gaza, where people have a choice of dying out of hunger or leaving the land. Just that in this case, they cannot even leave the land, because even leaving the land means getting killed.
Yeah, why doesn't Egypt let them in?
First of all, why should Egypt?
No, you asked. You said they cannot leave. You said they cannot leave. So answer my question.
Why doesn't Israel let them in? They cannot? Okay, fine. They cannot leave because on one side Israel is blocking their path, and on the other side Egypt is blocking their path.
Okay, so
This is my question.
Why doesn't America take all the Israelis in?
Why should Egypt open their borders? It's a sovereign country. It can decide for itself.
Why should Israel open their country? Hamas says they want to butcher them all.
No, it is because the entirety of Israel does not belong to Israelis. It was stolen from these same people who became refugees in Gaza. That's why.
Why doesn't America take all the Israelis in and let those people go back to their houses?
Because Israel is the only place in the world that has 3,000 years history of Jews. When you dig in Israel,
You're such a retarded piece of shit.
Israel was established in 1948. It doesn't have 3,000 year history.
So when you dig up coins and when you see all kinds of
Who gives a
historical
fuck about a coin from 3,000 fucking years ago? Why doesn't the US take all the Israelis? Let those people in Gaza go back to their homes.
Wouldn't Egypt have a longer history of Jews?
Yeah, actually they do.
Check your back channels.
Yeah,
Why don't
Egypt
you go to
has a
Egypt?
longer history of Jews.
Take you back.
And if you want to go back all the way to Abraham, the Jews actually come from Iraq.
There you go. Go to Iraq and go to Egypt.
And the only place that the Jews established a state continuous with kings, traditions, language, money, everything that consists a state is Israel. And the only place
We are history. We are correct.
Hold on.
How do you know a Zionist is lying?
Some bullshit.
Breathing.
No, wait. India is the oldest civilization. No, hold on. I need to give this to you guys so you guys understand this part. India being the oldest civilization, so the oldest, the Beni Israel, the lost tribes of Israel, they settled in Mumbai area. That's where the history goes back. that far to Mumbai. So you guys, then I guess you should be going to Mumbai. Go to Mumbai to claim.
The Israel.
It's a nuggets. We don't want them in Mumbai.
Where does it say?
I'm just
Everywhere they go, they.
Amir.
Well, wait. By the way, you know, it's continuous. This is really.
Hang on a second. I think Ezra wanted to chime in. What's up, Ezra? How you doing?
Hashem, I'm good. Where in the 3,000-year history of Jewish people does it ever say that we're required to establish a Jewish state? Do you have a Torah source for that?
Let's throw the Israeli onto the sea, guys.
Let Ezra have a conversation with Tom because she's Jewish and he's Jewish. And let's see what.
The whole point I was trying to make from the beginning, and to make a really important point for you guys, is that the Israelis are not religious. We're there not because we believe the Bible gave it to us. We believe that culturally, ethnically, religiously, there's all these reasons together. In fact, the religious Jews in Israel don't go to the army. They don't really play a big part of society. So Israelis are secular. We're not there because of the Talmud and the Torah. And we didn't establish Israel because we believe that the Talmud and Torah gave it to us. We believe that there's 1,000 other reasons, mostly historical, that makes it.
You just contradicted yourself.
You have no history. Absolute bullshit. So Ashkenazim coming to Israel, like you said, from a secular space, who have no consideration for Torah, no consideration for Al Minhagim. They could care less about the so-called historical connection to Israel. Why do they have a right to be there? How can you use a Jewish or religious pretext and then snatch it away 2 minutes later? I don't understand that. Half of the individuals in Israel right now have no connection to Israel at all. And we all know it. As a matter of fact, many of those Palestinians have Jewish blood. And we're killing them left and right. They're cousins. Those people, wait 1 minute. Those Palestinians have more of a connection to the land, the culture, the customs and traditions than most Ashkenazim who are secular Jews living in Israel today. That is undeniable.
The reason Israel welcomes European Jews and Russians to Israel is a social,
a white supremacist state. No, a white supremacist state. That's exactly the same reason why, that's the reason why Ethiopian, that is the reason why Jews from Nigeria have never been welcomed in the state of Israel. It is a white supremacist agent of the American government. And it's sad that you would actually sit on this platform and pretend that individuals claiming a connection that they've never had have more of a right than Palestinians who know that their great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents are connected to the land.
I didn't say that. You put words in my mouth. I did not say that. And by the way, Yemenis and Arabic Jews, Middle Eastern Jews, make up the majority of your white ethno state, the way you called it. So again, these dumb things coming out of your mouth make no sense.
When they were welcomed in 1948, and I will show you Yemenite babies who were sold to Arabs and white Americans.
Yeah, let's talk about these examples.
And dark-skinned Jews were not welcomed by the state because they were.
You mean they were discriminated against?
They were not welcomed because.
You mean they were discriminated against?
I'm saying it very clearly. They were not welcomed because they were religious. They had a Torah connection. The individuals who were wanted by the state of Israel were engineers and scientists and doctors who were not religious, who were atheists themselves, who could care less about Torah, who could care less about the Jewish people. They simply wanted a place of refuge. Now that's historical fact. We're not going to sit here and bullshit these people on this platform that, oh, Jews have such a connection to Israel and that's why we're here. No, that's bullshit.
I said 5 times that that's one of the many reasons for why Israel was chosen for the Jews. Because it makes more sense. Because there's no Hebrew history when you dig up in Uganda.
Was it not? Why wasn't Uganda? You know, why did we just say, you know what, let's do Uganda? It was one of the places that people were interested in. Why did people think the world by telling them that it was because it had no religious significance?
My family's been in Israel for 300 years, not in Uganda.
Significance now. The biggest LGBTQ plus parade goes through Tel Aviv.
Wait, Israel only existed 50 years. He said 300 years.
300 years. That means he's a descendant of the Sephardics that were kicked out of Spain, right?
Connection, and then not abide by religious rules. It doesn't work that way. Oh, you know what? This is the land of my forefathers. I'm Yitzchak Yaakov. Oh, by the way, I'm going to eat pork chops on the beach on Yom Kippur. The two don't go together. Either you have a religion
For the second time now, for the sixth time, Israel is not a religious state.
Israel.
For the second time, Israel is not a religious state.
Did not use a religious pretext for your connection to the land.
And for the eighth time,
not
they're
have
not.
any religious connection to the same. You're not
Okay,
going to
easy. It's your weirdo. It's the ninth time I'm saying it now.
You're not going to tell me that some Jew out of Germany has more of a connection to the land than a Palestinian.
Okay, obviously that person is weird and maybe on drugs. I acknowledge it. I acknowledged it 10 times now. 10 times.
But your reason for being there is religious, but yet it's not a religious state, and it's not about religion. So
I said it's not. Many times. Historical, cultural, ethnicity, and for some people religious. All the reasons in the world. You guys are
so God didn't give you that land then.
Wait, hold on. You're still using that same logic. Wait, hold on. Using the same logic that you are proposing, then Jews also have a historical, linguistic connection to Damascus and Baghdad and Medina and all the other places in the region that they inhabit, including Persia.
And Palestinians have the same exact connection to that.
Where should the state of Israel end?
Like I said before, Israel is the only place where they governed a country and created a state with all the elements of a state. That never happened in Damascus, never happened in Libya, that never happened in Morocco, even though there are hundreds of thousands of Jews.
Hold on. But that never happened in, what do you call it, Erot, down at the Red Sea? The state of Israel, the historic one, has never...
This is not... No, Gildas, did my type of yours is less than the mind type that wants all illegals out? Okay, and now guess what? Trump is not going to be able to do all of it, like deport everybody in 4 years, or he's not going to be able to do that, right? So whoever is going to win for the next election, that person is going to get the majority votes, whether it's Republican, whether it's Democrat, and then if it's someone who says, no, we need all these people, it doesn't matter how it is. That's just
So now your source of legitimacy is the UN, it's not history. So the history doesn't matter, because what the UN gave you, right, was not part of historical kingdom of Judea. What the UN gave you was geopolitically incentivized to landlock the Palestinians. You got the coastal regions for a reason. Historically speaking, if you really want to look into it, the coastal regions were controlled by the Philistines, okay? And the inland regions, like Yehuda and Samaria, that is where the Jews established their state. So the UN gave you, through the lobbying of the Zionists, the land that you did not inhabit, and left out the land that you did inhabit historically. So what's the historical basis for this?
First of all, the southern part you're talking about that Israel got is all desert. It's useless. And they gave it to Israel as an excuse.
It's very useful, actually.
It's an excuse.
It's actually very useful. The reason why... No, it's very, very useful. The reason why the state of Israel was drawn, or the Jewish partition of Israel was drawn to go all the way south to Elot, is to split the Arab world from Egypt from the rest of it.
Okay.
And the reason why you got all the coastal region, with the exception of Gaza, is because you wanted to landlock the Palestinians into the mountains of the West Bank.
We rob. We're Zionists. Why don't you just say, I'm a Zionist, we're Zionists, we kill, we rob.
Let's be honest here.
Let's come and say it.
Let's be honest here.
I would have a lot more respect for someone who comes along and says, hey, I'm a thief, I'm a Zionist. I am, I rob and I steal and I kill and I ethnically cleanse and so on and so forth. Why do you have to lie?
It's not just that. It's not just that. Let's be honest about why the borders were drawn in the way that they were drawn. If I was an invader, right, I would have drawn the borders exactly like that. Take the coastal region so you can landlock the rest of the Palestinians. And a landlocked country is much easier to blockade because they don't have access to the sea. So they can't trade internationally.
How wide is the land against Israel?
Real quick, Benny Adam.
How wide was it?
Hold on, Benny Adam. But now that they figured out that the landlocked area that is the Gaza and West Bank is a global choke point, and now that supply lines are important, now we have a war to exterminate the Palestinians from Gaza so that they have a road into Africa and the Middle East. I don't find that a coincidence.
Yeah. No. And the Ben Gurion area now is a project from way back in the day.
Benny, you were wrong when you said, you asked him why you didn't choose Syria. Just last week, the Heritage Minister announced that after annexing West Bank and Gaza, they will try to annex the entirety of Lebanon and Syria because both of them belong to the so-called Eretz Israel or the biblical Israel.
Yeah,
they're just doing it one by one.
I know.
So Benny, give them time to steal. I mean, how can they steal everything all together? You got to give them time to steal. Okay? So be kind to them. Be kind to the Zionists. You're rushing them into doing it. So, I mean, they have another 50 years to kill another 50 million people and take over their land. Just make sure your house is not, falling in that line.
So how many Arabs did the Jews kill so far?
I don't know. I can tell you since 1948 until October 7, Jews killed, or I would say Israel killed. I don't want to use the word Jews. Israel officially killed. This is the official document. 186,000 Palestinians. 186,000 Palestinians have been recorded officially by the United Nations as having been killed by Israel. Now, there could be many more than that. Okay?
How many wars?
We don't know that.
How many wars? So since 1948.
Also responsible for the war
Since
on terror.
1948. Since you mentioned before. No. You have spoken enough. You mentioned how we liberated Gaza in 2005. And after liberating Gaza, you carried out five attacks against Gaza, which were 10 times bigger than the October 7 attack. Okay? And in each of the attacks, 1,000 to 1,500 people, 1,000 to 1,500 Palestinians, including children, were killed. Okay? That's number one. And you keep saying we let go of Gaza in 2005. After letting go of Gaza, you blockaded Gaza to the extent that they were literally dying even then out of hunger, for hunger.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reality.
How many ice cream shops are there in Gaza?
Yeah, sure. I'm coming to that.
Is he asking that question?
Sure. I'm coming to that. No. Yeah, Edward, they try to distract you. So here's the point. You literally blockaded wedding dresses, pencils. You blockaded cilantro. Who blockades the cilantro, man? Who blockades cilantro? In every country, there are 205 countries in the world, everywhere people use cilantro to cook. And Israel blockades it. And Israel blockaded, Israel put a ban on, pasta. When they asked why, they said, Palestinians are not Italians to eat pasta. This is the reply they got. Pasta, man. And your own senator from America, what is his name? Senator Kerry. Senator Kerry had to reach out to the Israelis to request them to allow pasta, pencils, chocolates, wedding dresses, and even scalpels. Scalpels for C-section. You know how many women had to deliver in Gaza without the proper medical equipment? Just imagine. Oh, sure.
Who are these people, man? Who are these people?
So go and read your own history.
Who the hell are these people?
They're chosen, but they're not chosen by God. They're chosen by Satan himself.
So Tom, so don't come here and talk as if you're the only one chosen and the rest of us are subhumans. No, we all know your history. For 17.
Just stupid.
I know. We are not Zionists.
5-minute rant. No, you said 100 and something thousand Palestinians died in 7 wars with Israel since 1948.
No, Palestinians didn't have 7 wars.
No. I did not say they got killed in 7 wars. They were killed, murdered by Israel between 1948 up until October 7. Now, what happened after October 7? I have not even had it.
1948 was only war, because 1948 was only war with Palestinians.
Anyway, I'm not talking about wars. I'm not talking about wars and the people that got killed in the war. I am saying how many people were murdered by Israeli security forces and by Israelis.
Let's Google it up right now.
2023 was the deadliest year for Palestinian children before October 7th.
So these guys come here and say, oh, we let go of Gaza in 2005. Yes, you did let go of Gaza, but you controlled the sea, air, and land routes. Everything was controlled by you. Nobody can...
They didn't do it because they were nice. They did it because the settlement didn't have room to grow in Gaza. So they had to leave it because it was costing them money, and it wasn't growing because there were too many Palestinians there.
Security was costing them a lot of money.
A lot.
Yeah, but they physically left, but they still continued their occupation.
Yes. They didn't leave. It wasn't a disengagement. It was just removing the settlements. That's all. Just like, it's like, say, Area A in the West Bank, where the PA controls, is it not under this, there's no Israeli soldiers generally there, but are they not still under occupation?
If they increase their illegal settlements towards the West Bank, doesn't it have to do with the proximity to Jerusalem? So it was more beneficial for them to push in that direction?
No, it was more beneficial. No, they started off around the Jerusalem area and moved outwards into the West Bank to cut the West Bank in half.
Okay, so Tom, my question is, if they physically removed settlements from Gaza, why did it not happen in the West Bank? Why is that just being expanded?
Gaza was supposed to be an experiment to have the Palestinians show that they can govern themselves.
Got you.
No, it wasn't.
Experiment?
It was never labeled that way. It was never portrayed that way.
It's gonna turn into Dubai.
They didn't even coordinate with the Palestinians.
Who the hell are you guys to experiment with somebody's land and see whether they are going to govern themselves? The only people who are not
independence.
Who the hell are you guys
that they can have
to
their own
tell them?
Palestinian state?
It is their land, Tom. It is their land. It is their land.
Israel did exactly what you wanted. Israel gave them that land and said, let's see if we can work
It was
this
our
out.
land. We didn't give it.
How did you give it? It was already theirs.
It's not yours to give it back.
Whatever you want to call it, gave it back, whatever.
No, you did not give it back. It was their land. You don't give back somebody's own
What do you
land.
want to call it? Define it. You use the words. You see, you're getting stuck on semantics because you have no argument.
Because you're coming with arrogant words. You're coming from a supremacy.
You choose the words.
You're coming from a supremacy angle, and nobody wants to put up with that because we don't think you're superior.
Okay.
Just say you removed the boots on the ground, but you controlled everything else.
Lawlessness, civil unrest, it's never been more clear.
From the
They're
ground,
unable to
and you
respond
control
effectively
literally
and responsibly
everything
during
over
calamity.
there, including what came in and
Whether
what
it's sheer
got
incompetence
out,
or outright
including
malevolence,
who could come in and who
the
could
reality
get
is
out,
stark.
including
California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos,
between 2020 and 2023, since you are Googling everything, you should also Google this or ask ChatGPT. Between 2020 and 2023, Israel killed 248 Palestinian fishermen from Gaza. 248 Palestinian fishermen from Gaza were killed in the sea. Found that they were within the international waters. They were not in Israeli waters.
How many times were they smuggling drugs, weapons, and attacking Israel? How many times?
so you can kill a fisherman. You can kill a fisherman under the suspicion that he is transporting drugs or arms or whatever it is from a distance.
Yes. In a war zone.
But you just said it's not a war zone. You just said it's not a war zone.
When they killed him, it was.
It wasn't a war zone. They were fishing.
No. So you're in 2005. They did it 9 years later when there's a conflict.
We can't hear you, Ace.
Can you guys hear me at all? They're the same. I think it's my reception. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a little better. You're low, but go ahead.
Okay, so Tom, you made a statement that there was experimentation of some sort on the Gazans, hence their occupation of Gaza. That was actually the worst thing you could have fucking said. You open up a door I don't think you wanted to. We have this genocidal Nazi named Himmler. You know, he did some experimentation on Nazis.
So again, you see how she can start on the word no. No. We acknowledge that it's not the experiment. No.
I'm going to tell you something.
No, we talk about experiment being the wrong word. Experiment was the wrong word. No, I'm not going to talk about the experiment because you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
I'm going to put a actual article in the chat. Did you know 1,000 Palestinians were experimented on in Israeli prisons by Israeli physicians? They were ripped apart, did medical experiments on them, and that's been proven. Not only that, they experiment weapons on Palestinians to try to show their might.
Karen Bass.
Sell it. Palestinians are being used to fucking experiment medical stuff that is so atrocious, and then to experiment weapons on So, Tom, can you look at the article, read it, and let me know how atrocious that shit is? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't know. Now you know.
English, Wafa. Why don't you have a resource that, the CBC or BBC would love to run a story like that. Can you find there? We need to look into some very anti-Israel, weird websites. It's Israel every single time, so every single time.
Which news media do you believe
Senator,
in?
thank you, Governor. You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but if only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Any man would have a reputation to defend and would run this story if it was indeed correct to the details that this lady just shared, which is pure. BBC is very anti-Israel, and they will run a story like that. Sure. I don't really consume the time of Israel, but
So you tell us which media should we believe in? You tell us.
Any premier claims Israel conducted experiments. So basically, Israel saying that senior government official is not
covering everything?
How about that? My grandma made a claim also.
I didn't do nothing. I didn't say nothing.
CBC, somebody Okay, no, here's CNN. Let's see what the CNN claim is.
Oh, that's another dinosaurs.
Any updates on Iran or Israel?
I see detention center. I see harsh condition. Where is the experiments? Where's the experiments? Look, your point withers away.
Article talking about they do experiments
withers
Dead bodies
away.
in Palestine.
Are you denying that Israel?
Listen to what you just said.
Are you denying that Israel harvests the organs of Palestinians prisoners?
I'm sure that happened. They do it for Jews too. But listen to what you just said. Now.
So let's stop at that. Let's stop at that.
So they harvest the organs of Palestinians and they harvest the organs of Jews too?
Now they're saying that they're harvesting or saying experimenting on dead bodies. I'm sure.
They're doing multiple experimentations.
Oh no, you just said dead. A minute ago it was
dead
dead.
and alive. There's multiple experiments speaking on living, psychological torture, physical torture, and guess what else? Desecrating dead fucking bodies. Are you crazy? Do you know how Israelis treat their dead with honor and respect? So they don't spare anything. Living, dead, walking around. There's these sources speaking about various levels of
Torture is a live person. I'm not.
You're not going to be seen as a self-hating Jewish person if you can just admit, yes, okay, let me look into this. If that did happen, that's fucked up. Why do you have to deny the atrocities that took place?
Because you started by saying experimenting on people, and then you show me experiments. I don't want to say anything more. Just send me articles. Always.
Because
medical experiment from Palestinian
you guys don't know anything about
Show me.
this.
But love you guys.
I mean, he was a loving, caring guy. You know, loved his family, loved his friends.
You brought up the word experiment, and it triggered a memory in my mind, and you fucked up, okay?
Clearly, trigger memory that you can't buy.
Oh, God.
Stockholm syndrome. It's called repetition.
Oh, I like your son, 8647. And what is it, top on orange stains?
What are you talking about? Because you guys are so fixated on these things that happen everywhere all the time.
I guess people kill. Why are people allowed to kill?
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry.
Every one of you would be much happier in Israel than in any other Arab country around the world.
I'm happy. I'm getting tortured in state man.
Everything. And I just am so scared. So long as
I have to take a different route.
Get over yourself. This day is so ghetto.
Going in airport, they said first. Yes, I'm so happy.
They strip search you, I guess you act, smell, and look like a terrorist.
Oh, you say that, but you were treated like
Everyone but you was a terrorist. Everyone but
No, because I get questioned too.
You're the only
Maybe
terrorist
into
in this
Israel.
world. You're the only terrorist.
Definitely. And he was treated like shit in Austria, and he doesn't want to say it. Oppression doesn't only exist in like countries outside the West. Like, you need to acknowledge that the West is oppression, and you are an oppressor, and you're white, and you come here and impose whatever ideas you have, and you claim by your using that PTR that you're Iranian and lying to all the people who are here listening to you.
It's really
We will take care of our shitty regime. We will take care of our shitty regime. We don't need evil to overthrow evil. We don't need your massacre. We don't.
We're not doing it for you. We're doing it to protect us.
Protect us from who?
Protect us from
They're not giving us
Let them thrive, let them make decisions. We're big enough.
We're protecting ourselves from Ayatollahs. We're butchering you.
Innocent
But
people.
We don't need you. We don't need you.
I didn't go to Israel. You guys went to Iran.
Leave us the hell alone.
Yeah, when you're counting the number of dead people because of Israel, we need to add in the Iraq war and Afghanistan war. Because of Netanyahu, convincing the U.S. Senate and Congress that, once Saddam Hussein is gone, we will have peace in the Middle East. Once, we overthrow this regime, we'll have peace in the Middle East. He's doing this since the 90s.
Bullshit my ass.
Lee, there is one account that says that in the last 24 years, under Obama, Bush, and Bill Clinton, in the 24 years of their rule in the US, 12 million people were killed in 11 countries that were invaded by the US and Israel in those 28 years.
What countries were invaded by Israel? What countries did Israel invade?
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. All the countries were invaded by Israel through America. America is the puppet of Israel. So Israel gets America to do that. So I'm really sorry. I stand corrected. Okay. So
listen, the Jews
there's one account that says, no, not Jews, Israelis. So 12 million is a number that I read in one article, but that it could be much more, many more. But the number that I gave was specifically Palestinians murdered by the Israeli regime in the last 77 years. That is what I talked about, 186,000.
I'm seeing 55 in Perplexity, in GPT, and in Gemini.
Okay. 55?
How many Israelis are you?
So 55 is good, is it for you?
No, I'm asking you how many Israelis died.
No, I don't care how many Israelis died because they are the occupiers. They are the occupiers. If you come into my house, and occupy my house, I won't see whom I kill. I will kill everybody who comes and occupies my house. I may be a good guy. I may not have a weapon. It's my house. You won't get to
lived there before yours. My family's been there for at least 300 years. So my family.
But I thought your family was there for 3,000 years. No, you're saying 300.
He says he was Austrian.
You're a white Austrian.
No. 300 or 3,000.
Killing my people. You've taken out 400 of us in one day. Get out.
Where were they 3 months ago?
No, 300 or 3,000. I'm getting confused, man.
Occupied.
300 or 3,000.
My family has been in Israel for 300 years that we can trace back.
Okay, you can trace back. My
Austrian.
Okay. Oh. Tom, is that the reason why you don't mention your surname? Peterson. Peterson is your surname. It sounds very Hebrew-y.
Do you really think I would use my real name on this app with crazy people like you guys? Come on.
No, of course not. You cannot, because then your real origins will be revealed to us, which will be most probably German or Ukrainian or so on.
I told you, on my dad's side, I'm Austrian. On my mom's side, I'm 300 years in Israel. You can believe me or you don't. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to have a conversation.
300 years in Israel is not an ethnicity.
There was no Israel before 77 years.
It was Ottomans.
So,
before 300 years, it was Ottomans.
There was no Israel.
My grandfather considers himself Palestinian Jew.
Okay, now comes the word out of the horse's mouth. So, Tom, where is Edward? Edward, your cousin is here. Where is he? He's not in the room.
Your occupier is here. Edward, your occupier is here.
So Tom now says he's a Palestinian. Okay.
All Jews were Palestinians when the Romans changed the name, and then all people in that area identified as Palestinians under the Ottoman Empire for a long time. So it's not that the Arabs were Palestinians. The Arabs were just Arabs that came from the area. The Jews who lived there, anybody who lived in that area, considered themselves Palestinians. And the Palestinians in Israel, many of them today, have lived there for hundreds of years. But they decided to have a war with Israel, and they've been handing their ass to them over and over and over. And unless they find a way to live peacefully with Israel, it's going to keep happening. And you can go over the details of what happened and how it happened. All these things happen in every single war, in every single conflict, and 80 million people moved around after World War II. So we're really stuck on Palestinians for a reason that I don't understand.
So you are a Palestinian. Do you also agree that there were other Palestinians in that land who were not Jewish, who were Christian, who were Muslim? Okay, so do they, the Jewish, the Christian Palestinians and the Muslim Palestinians, do they have the same right to that land as you do, because they have also been there for maybe 300 to 3,000 years.
Of course, but then they fought against
Yes, no. We will
in Israel or the Palestinian one?
We will take. So sorry, is?
Can you ask him why, if that's because there were others involved with it, so why is the only group have the right to the country but the others don't?
Yeah. Tom, would you care to answer that? If you have a right because you're a Palestinian by culture, linguistically, culturally, traditionally, you are a Palestinian.
No, that's not why I have the right.
So why do you have the right more than the other two groups?
Because after World War II, the world was divided, and a tiny chunk was given to a people that identify themselves as Jewish. Some of them are Arab Jewish, some of them are European Jewish, and the UN agreed that these people, however you define them, can go to Israel. The Arabs rejected it. They fought. They lost over and over and over and over, and that's where we are today.
Okay. Okay, Tom. So, but earlier on, you said you claimed a right to that land. First of all, you said religion. You quoted religious scriptures. No. I'm coming to that. Let me complete the point. You brought in religion to justify the occupation of that land. And you mentioned linguistic, cultural, traditional connectivity to that land. Connection that goes back 3,000 years. Okay, that's number two. Now you're saying you are a Palestinian who has a right to that land. But when I ask you if the Palestinian Muslims and the Palestinian Christians who have lived as long as your family or your forefathers had lived there, you deny that. You talk about 1940. No, all I'm asking is before 1948, you acknowledge that all the three groups of Palestinians were living there on that land. Okay?
Yes.
The wars started only after the creation of Israel. Do you agree on that?
Yes. Well, no. Conflict started before, but the war started the day Israel announced.
Conflict started much earlier.
There have Palestinian agree and some Palestinians fight.
There have been skirmishes between Palestinian Christians and Palestinian Muslims, Palestinian Muslims and Palestinian Jews, Palestinian Jews and Palestinian Christians. All the three things have been happening in that place since the time
you try
that
to
place
take people religious, it's a lie.
Amos, my friend, I didn't bring in religion here. Your friend, your countryman Tom did that. I'm just asking me a few questions.
I'm talking you divided the Palestinian groups of Christians and Muslim. I say all of them are Palestinian, also Muslim, also Christian. They didn't fight. Live together with the Israelis.
Yes, you are right. You and I agree on that. We both agree on the same point. What I'm saying is, now they are fighting because the Palestinian Christians and the Palestinian Muslims are not being given the same rights to that land that is given to the Palestinian Jews. It's as simple as that.
I am almost elderly. It's almost elderly.
Yes, very elderly. He's the senior most person right now. He just grabbed the title from me. So he's the senior most person right now in this room. You have to call him Mr. Amos, but even he is not allowed in Mumbai, please.
So you need to take some of them, man, for yours.
Nargis, I know you're plotting.
We can't take them in wrong. You need to take some of them.
So Fayaz, the oldest language, Sumerian Sanskrit, that's the oldest dialect on that. So technically, can't we just say it's Indian rapper? If you really want to fuck with them, if you try to connect language, this and that, I'm sorry, I'm sick and tired. What came first? What came second? If you've left something for over 2,000 years, you left. How do you still lay claim to something? How do you go back and say, "Watch, this is the only group in history that says, well, you know what? Still mine, 2,000 something years later." How does that work? Tom, how?
The way it works is that they never left. They're always there.
Hold on. They were always there. The Romans, they were never
You were never not you, but was there no exile?
The majority of Jews were kicked out, yes, but there is a Jewish entity in Israel.
Actually, that's not
It's
true.
under 5%.
That's not true.
Sure.
The Jews were kicked out.
The Jews were kicked out over and over and over.
Yeah,
Now, there were some that were kicked out. The majority were not kicked out.
But what I'm saying is, even the name, okay, it's been called Philistine for what, 2,200 years? And you guys want to still go back and say Judea and Samaria, Judea and Samaria. If things have changed, move on. Don't need to keep bringing it back. And then you keep saying it doesn't have to do with religion, but a lot of this is rooted in religion. Please make
for some people, but again, Israel is a democracy, is a secular state. So for the religious people, no, it's not. For the religious people, that's the appeal. For the secular people, which are the people who built Israel,
Entitlement, religious or not, entitlement is the appeal.
So no. So basically, Tom says that any way you look at Israel, we will bring in a justification for stealing the land. If you're a secular person, we will give you a secular reason to justify. If you're a religious, Amos, please let me speak. If you're a religious person, we will give you a religious reason. Okay?
That the Jews represented in the parliament of South Arabia, of Jordan, of Egypt. Show me one Jewish parliament.
Why don't you, Amos, why don't you bomb? Yes, go ahead.
Tom, how many, so what's the horrendous thing that occurred, the Holocaust? How many people were killed?
About 6 million?
6 million total were killed, right? That's your...
No, 6 million, about 6 million Jews.
Okay, that's it?
No. Please,
Hold
John.
on.
It's exactly 6 million. If you say anything...
History, and I've done a very deep dive on this years ago. I've actually visited Auschwitz. The terrorism is horrible. I'm not connecting in the way I was thinking, but I just...
I can't understand what you're saying.
7 million black women, gay people, gypsies, basically if you were brown, if you were heavy, you have 7 million on top of the 6 million. But for some reason, what happened to that group of people, they don't get any recognition. I wanted to see how honest you were, and you turned and did the exact same shit that people do. Take something that's harrowing, not just for Jewish people. 13 million people that were killed. The other 7 million, look at those groups. Did they receive reparations? Did they receive some sort of land of their own? This man, this disgusting man called Hitler, he wanted to create an Aryan race, okay? That's what the fuck he wanted to do. But you, like many other Zionists, denied your suffering and said 6 million Jews. And I give you an opportunity to give me the rest of it.
What are you talking about? Way more than 12 million people died in World War II. What are you talking about?
In the Holocaust under Hitler, the death camps.
Yes, many millions. Gypsies, all kind of people. Yes.
That's Holocaust, Hitler. I said that in particular.
I'm talking about Jews.
How sickening this shit is? You're not gonna recognize the others?
Do you see how stupid you are? If you ask me how many other people...
He asked you how many people died in the Holocaust. You only mentioned the Jewish number.
We're talking about Israel right now, so I'm not going to talk about all the other casualties. And I don't know the breakdown, but I believe it's about 15 million.
Actual damage.
Hey, Tom, how would you feel if the gypsies of Europe gathered enough support and influence and money and power and decided to lobby the British government to get their quote-unquote land back in India? Because the gypsies come from India.
Well,
How would you feel if the gypsies of Europe...
gypsies?
Why are you guys targeting my country, man?
No, I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm not
Australia, bro.
Yeah,
We have the evil Ayatollahs to deal with. We cannot have the evil of all evils. These Zionists to come and occupy us. Like, they're gonna make Gaza look like Tehran. We can't have them.
I'm not talking about Iran. Listen, I'm talking about an oppressed group of people in Europe, right? A minority.
The times that you start talking about Iran and how those Zionism attack Iran right now, what they are doing in Tehran.
You're finishing you up, man.
Almost the world clap hands and happy what they are doing in Tehran. This you're supposed to speak about.
Almost, please.
So there is an ethnic minority in Europe that has historically been oppressed, called the Gypsies. They descend from India, right? Now, how would you feel, and how would the world react if these Gypsies got enough power and support and influence amongst the European countries, specifically the British, because the British occupied India for, I don't know how many, hundreds of years, 200 years? What if the Gypsies lobbied the British government to create a Gypsy state, moved to India, and ethnically cleansed the native people that are living there right now, which technically would be their long-lost cousins, right? And established a state of their own, a Gypsy state.
That's exactly what happened in 20 different places in Europe. Populations were moved. Exactly what you just described. What are you delusional?
No.
Yes.
No, that's not
80 million people were moved, ethnically cleansed from their places, and other people moved in after World War II. Come on, that's the whole problem.
No. The difference is those population exchanges, right, were mutually agreed, right?
Nobody agreed.
No, they were.
Nobody agreed.
More importantly, right, the people themselves that were ethnically cleansed or moved or whatever, however you want to call it, they did not lobby for this to happen. It was imposed on them. In the case of the Jews, they were the ones who lobbied for it. In the case of my hypothetical, it is the Gypsies themselves that are the ones that are advocating for it and lobbying for it and doing it.
It would have been a good idea to find a place for the Gypsies somewhere where they have a history and I don't know where it is. If India has areas where there's a lot of Gypsies and there's Gypsy history.
No, there's no place left in India. Only you can take them. Don't dump people.
Even linguistically, the Punjabi language and it's very similar.
Yeah, so had this happened under British rule, how do you think the world would be reacting right now?
Nobody would talk about it. They would have done it. Like
if they were Jews, nobody would talk about it. If they were Zionists, nobody would talk.
The only reason we're talking about it is because it's Jews. That's the only reason.
Oh, stop playing victim.
Nothing special about this conflict.
Nothing special about it.
I'll tell you. Benny, I have a question for you.
Nobody's ever done this before.
Benny, I have a question for you. The Gypsies that you're talking about, are they God's chosen children?
Only then.
You gotta ask them.
No, I'm asking you. You're okay. If they are not, then they cannot.
You only have to be chosen. The chosen people. The exclusive.
Do they have connection to the clan that goes back more than 3,000 years?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay. And so they have both the credentials. They are God's chosen people, even if they are not.
No,
tell them to claim that they are God's.
They don't do that.
No, they can find out. I mean, find out. Somewhere it will be mentioned in some scripture.
Somewhere, some book will happen.
Yeah.
Or they'll create it.
Or they've created it.
Here's the kicker. The Gypsies don't have a religion. They are a secular people. Just like
Go back. Freaking on there.
But guys, Benny Adam and Nargis, both of you, I warn you, please leave India out of this.
Bro, please take some of that, man. We have Ayatollahs to deal with. We can't deal with more evil.
Everybody has to go back to where they came from, and the Gypsies got to go back to India.
I always considered both of you my friends, but I can see your true nature today.
Sorry, man.
Please, man, share them, bro. We can't have more evil. We already have.
Fayaz, they won't survive in Mumbai. Could you imagine?
The thing is, they will, because they're going to cleanse Mumbai of 80 to 90%.
And then they're gonna occupy India, bro.
Exactly.
It's over a billion people in India.
Do you know, guys,
Europeans.
on a serious note, we have a hill station. It's in the Himalayas. The name of the state is Himachal Pradesh.
Himachal Pradesh.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's already more or less occupied by a certain group of people, and the
Let's just
government
say
of that
it,
state
Israelis. They destroy.
literally destroyed
They came that far?
destroying it. Yeah. They literally destroy it. They don't
Kashmir,
allow.
listen, Kashmir, Bali, same shit. They made it, fucked it up.
Dude, who are these people, man?
Himachal is an abode for drugs now. All the vices in the world are found in Himachal now. There are certain, not the entirety of the state, but in some places, okay? And in those places, Indians cannot go. For example, if I wanted to take a room in a hotel, I get denied. Even though hotel is owned by an Indian, I get denied residency there because it's exclusively reserved for the, I don't want to name them. I cannot name them because then I'll be called an anti-Semite.
Israelis also.
Who cares? Even Canada.
By the way, about the, I don't know, continuity that Tom was talking about, the vast majority of the Jewish people's existence on that land, they were subjects of a foreign empire. Like, they established a state, and by the way, there's actually no historical evidence for a unified state. There is historical evidence for Judea and Samaria, two separate states that actually often fought with each other and hated each other. The Samaritans and the Judeans hated each other. Continues to hate each other in some cases. There's no really evidence for that. There was a state, maybe, according to the Bible there is, but according to like secular history there isn't. But maybe you guys had a state for like maybe 100 or 200 years, and then you were occupied by the Babylonians, then the Assyrians, then I think the Egyptians at some point, then the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans, and the Romans made it Palestine. So you don't really have much in terms of continuity. The linguistic continuity is even worse because you stopped speaking Hebrew a very long time ago. Like by the 2nd century BC, so little of you spoke Hebrew that you had to translate your own text. The Targums, or Tarjum, meaning to translate, were written in Aramaic because by the 2nd century BC, we're talking about 2,200 years ago, you guys stopped speaking Hebrew. So you needed to read your scriptures and understand them. Use Aramaic, because Aramaic was the lingua franca of your people.
And yet,
your written scripture, hold on, I'm not even done. Your written scripture, like your actual scripture, is written using the Kitab Ashuri alphabet. So your own alphabet, which you still use until today, by the way, for your scriptures, is actually literally called the writing of the Assyrians.
Along with the calendar, the Jewish calendar and Babylonian calendar.
The Jewish calendar is also another, like, there's very little actual continuity between modern day Israelis and historical Jews. If a modern day Israeli met especially the secular ones, right, met like a historic Jew, the historic Jew would call him a heretic and spit on him and probably stone him to death.
If two Muslim neighbors meet today and one of them is Shia and one is Sunni, then they would spit on each other too. You guys are kidding. This silly idea.
I agree.
So let me answer.
I'm not an ISIS supporter. You are an ISIS supporter. You're just ISIS for Jews.
Okay. For 2,000 years, Jews kept the same language, same tradition. Some people adopted local languages. Everybody kept speaking or reading Hebrew. None of them spoke Hebrew. They just all read Hebrew and kept their Bible and kept their tradition. Okay. Look, they were assimilated and were being...
Your Bible, using the Targums are evidence that you translated your Bible into Aramaic. And then because of Greekification, you then wrote the Septuagint. The Septuagint was used by Jews century. The 9th century is when you actually codified your Old Testament or your Tanakh, your Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, into Hebrew.
Thank you for the listen, but what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with
more continuity? The Sumerian
He's been talking for 5 minutes.
You use an Assyrian script.
Do you think that the Christians? Do you think that the Christians in North America are the same as the Christians in Israel 2,000 years ago? You think they have anything to do with Christians from 2,000 years ago?
I am an Orthodox Christian in North America. Yes, our liturgy is from the 4th century, and it has persecuted us, right, for the first 300 years of our existence. You would see a direct continuity with Christians from 2,000 years ago to modern day Orthodox Christians. Our liturgy was literally 100 years ago.
That's delusional. Different traditions, different beliefs, different stories. Even your books change 20 times over. The Torah hasn't changed one letter from the time of the Bible until today. So there is plenty